Who knows what we've been through? Shangguan and the hot Tu Cao, sitting beside him, make complaints about the guests. Let's bring tea and water. Nanganji sits at the table, a teacup in his hand, slowly turning, eyes slightly narrowed, watching Yunwu and Longqingxi standing there, sweet greasy together, as if thoughtful. Heaven's destiny can be changed. What else can cloud dance do? Nangong chuckles in his heart. This cloud dance really makes people feel very elusive and admirable. I don't know why there's a kind of loss mixed with happy mood in his heart, which makes Nangong very entangled and can't help thinking deeply. When he first learned that it was his destiny to be with Yunwu, Nangong, he was in fact insipid at the beginning. As for the later emotion, he took her in his eyes and hid her a little bit. However, from the beginning, he knew very well that she was not a person willing to accept fate. Was she? It was also because of this that he followed her all the way and witnessed it with his own eyes. In fact, he knows very well what his inner complexity is. Up to now, standing beside Yunwu is Dragon Qingxie, who is about to become her husband. In the South Palace, he also can't help but lower the head to smile, cover up the bottom of the eye, that last sour astringent. Turning his head to catch a glimpse of Qi Yi's hand sitting beside him, his mood gradually began to return to calm. Looking up at Qi Yi's also turned to look at him. Qi Yi's, who had never been cold and didn't say a word, showed a smile in his eyes and raised his mouth slightly when he saw his eyes turning. Nangong also smiles back. At this moment, it seems that everything is silent. Little one, Long Qingxie stood beside Yunwu, slightly bent down, and whispered in her ear, "After tomorrow, you will be my man." Yunwu is as sweet as honey in her heart. Even if she is as cold as she is, her face is also a little bit shy. Two faint red clouds linger on her cheek, which makes her originally extremely beautiful face add a few different customs and adds a few fireworks breath. Long Qingxie looks at the people around him, and his heart becomes soft in an instant. That's good. Long Qingxie passed her and said, "Tomorrow, I will take this opportunity to tell the world that you are my man, and no one can give you an idea." His voice is as evil as ever, but also full of affection. Cloud Dance listened to Pink Face a Red for their wedding. She is also full of expectations. The setting sun was finally sinking in the crowd, and soon the whole imperial city was coated with orange. Finally, it's time for the meal. The whole Yunfu is filled with the aroma of food. Yunwu and Longqingxi come to everyone with Yunqi and Yunlingji. Seeing that the protagonist of the wedding has finally arrived, all the guests here have stopped talking and all of them look up at the people above. First of all, thank you all for coming to my daughter's wedding. Standing at the front table, Yunlingyi said with a smile, "Today, I'm very moved that you've come all the way here. After dinner today, we'll stay at Yun's house and wait for tomorrow's golden day." There's a lot of laughter in the whole seat, and the sound of congratulation came from everywhere. Yunqi also smiles and squints his eyes. After the war and the loss of his family and pain, Yunqi is getting old. But now, he is really happy for Yunwu. Long Qingxie turns his head and looks at the clouds around him. He smiles and looks up at the sky, but he is suddenly stunned. I saw a black cloud rolling over the sky. Before anyone else noticed anything unusual, suddenly the earth began to shake. Ding ding. All the wine glasses on the table were jingling, and everyone stood up in doubt. But most of you were experts from all walks of life, but there was no confusion. Everyone turned to the sky and frowned at the same time. What's the matter? Where did the earthquake happen? Shangguan and others frowned. They all realized that something was wrong. They drew out their weapons and watched around them. Cracks gradually opened up on the ground. Even the walls of Yunfu were cracked. Countless flying debris were scattered. A lot of wine on the table also fell to the ground. Bricks and tiles fell, which made people around them scream danger and avoid it one after another. Cloud dance in the heart's secret way is not good. Just want to turn head to ask Long Qingxie. Suddenly see Long Qingxie face a burst of pale, brow-tight wrinkle, hands dead, grasp the table. Qingxie, what's the matter with you? Cloud Dance suddenly has a kind of unexpected premonition. But her hand just touched Long Qingxia's shoulder, and suddenly she saw that Long Qingxia's face was pale and terrible, and her teeth cackled, and Cloud Dancing's expression suddenly became dignified. "Qingxia, do you know?" The words haven't finished. The dragon inclines, evil, suddenly a mouthful of blood burst out. Under the exclamation of the crowd, Long Qingxia suddenly fell to the ground, with cold sweat on his forehead, as if something had exploded from his body. Yunwu's face is also instantly pale. He goes forward 2 steps to help Long Qingxi, but suddenly he sees a black light coming out of Long Qingxi's body. Long Qingxia's painful wailing makes people around him moved. Cold evil will instantly cover everything around. Everyone was shocked and stood up. No one thought that such a thing would happen. "Qingxia, what's the matter with you?" Wake Up Yunwu is very anxious and rushes forward to help the dragon. But I didn't expect that dragon Qingxia, who was lying on the ground, suddenly raised his hand and pushed Yunwu out. His expression was very dignified. He trembled and said, "Don't get close to me. Leave quickly." Long Qingxia's appearance scares the guests below and naturally scares Yunlingyi and Yunqi around him. Long Qingxia forced himself to stand up from the ground and saw that he was covering his chest as if something in his body had been broken, and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. "Qingxia, what's the matter with you?" Cloud Dance see this. A burst of panic quickly passed to support him. But Long Qingxia pushed her away again. She wanted to get closer. At this time, a black light burst out from his body. The evil spirit of Cold engulfs all around, and the cloud dances for a while. Seeing that she still wants to run, Long Qingxia reaches out her hand and says, "Don't come here." Then he covered his chest and ran out. At the moment, there was already a gloomy sky outside, and it was as dark as night. The strong people from all walks of life who had just moved in were also shocked, as if they had sensed something, and went out of the door one after another. Long Qingxia also felt the darkness in front of him. He held the wall and walked forward with blood dripping all the way. He held the wall and gasped violently. All of a sudden, a black light in the sky enveloped the dragon, making the dragon have no room to fight back and collapse to the ground. Following the cloud dance behind him, seeing this situation, a trace of anxiety flashed in her eyes. She bit her lip and ran to the dragon. However, he was blocked by something before he got close to him. It turned out that there was an invisible border around the dragon. The black light endlessly engulfs the dragon's evil. The dragon's evil hands droop and roars toward the sky with a look of pain. When Yunwu saw this situation, she flashed purple light in her hand, and a simple broadsword appeared in her hand. She raised the broadsword and waved it bang-dang. It was like cutting some iron block, making a sound like a bell. Yunwu steps backward because of the power of the boundary. She snorts, and a touch of fishy sweetness rushes into her throat. He pressed down the blood in his throat, and the purple fighting spirit on the cloud dance sword flashed again. When Long Qingxia saw her like this, he cried out anxiously, "Cloud Dance, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Cloud Dance answers, and mercilessly toward this border cut. Bang-dang. This sound is louder than before. Purple spirit power meets the border, is also instantly back. Purple on all shot on the body of Cloud Dance. All of a sudden, the cloud danced like a withered butterfly and was knocked down to the ground. Her chest ached, and her blood gushed out of her mouth. Cloud Dance. Seeing that Yunwu was injured, Long Qingxia roared. His heartache made him forget the pain of his body. When he saw Yunwu staggering up, he had to use his spiritual power again. He quickly stopped it. "Yunwu, don't waste your efforts. You can't open this border. I don't believe it. I don't want you to have an accident." Cloud Dance's eyes flashed a touch of firm color. She is such a person. Do not achieve the goal. Never give up. Standing up, his aura rushed to the simple broadsword in his right hand. At the same time, Redling by Schwer Lanyu also appeared behind her. They each took one side and made mysterious gestures. At that time, the aura in their body rushed to the cloud dance. At this moment, the sword in Yunwu's hand has already vibrated. The purple fighting spirit is like an arc swimming on the sword. Yunwu's hands hold the sword and smash it fiercely. The intention of the sword cuts the houses nearby into pieces. However, the border outside Long Qingxia's body doesn't react at all. The black light column is still swimming around Long Qingxia's body. Dragon inclined evil lie in this invisible border, looking at the cloud dance. Eyes canthus crack. Cloud dance, he roared, like a wild animal, through the thick black fog, which moved the onlookers around him. However, what surprised him most was Yunwu. This woman, who was seriously injured, covered her chest and stood up again. Master, the white snow sun of the body weak, they worried to shout, but she didn't even look at them one eye, just clenched the big knife in the hand. Low drink, continue, no. In the border, the dragon is beating the invisible border. He had never been so desperate as this moment. He saw his woman fighting for himself outside, and her body was lifted out like a puppet again. But she was like did not hear his roar in general. Once again staggered to stand up, hand wiped the blood from the corners of the mouth, and then continued to inject spiritual power into the hand of the sword. One attack after another, but it was thrown away again and again. But Yunwu seemed to be a puppet who didn't know the pain, fell down, and stood up to continue to attack. Her body is already broken. Plain clothes have become blood clothes, but she did not stop. That fierce force let all the people present shocked, moved. Shangguan and others have attacked time and again, but they have been hit by the rebound again and again. See this scene. Gradually, a person stood out. He helped Yunwu attack the border. Later, more people stood out. They surrounded in front of the border, together toward the border force. The dragon's eyes were red, and the black light column kept devouring him, which made him weak. It was hard for him to move. He could only watch her hurt for him, but he was also very grateful. Thank you for loving me so much. A trace of pathetique flashed from the eyes of the dragon. Once again, when people were shocked, the figure of the dragon disappeared in the light column. The black light disappeared, and the sky became bright. Everything just like a dream, but the land was full of scars, which recorded everything that should happen here. Yunwu stood up and looked at the intact ground in the middle. The people who disappeared suddenly roared toward the sky. The voice was sad and shrill, and the voice was endless. All the people around were sad. For a long time, this sound is absolutely the body of cloud dance also seems to fall apart and fall to the ground. Bedroom. How's it going? What happened to my granddaughter? Yanxi looks worried and looks at Mu Xiaoming, who is picking up Cloud Dance's pulse. At this time, Mu Xiaoming was still embarrassed, but it was not difficult to see his locked brow and more dignified face. In the bedroom, Nangong, Yi, and others were all present. They were all in a mess, but no one had the heart to pay attention to them. All their thoughts were now on the comatose woman with a white face on the bed. In the middle of the sound, Mu Xiaoming slowly drew back his hand, turned his head and looked at the people present, and said, "I'm sorry." The last 3 words changed almost everyone's face. What do you mean? No help? Or what's going on? Make it clear. Yun Qi's voice trembled as his heart tightened. Mu Xiaoming sighed deeply, looked at Yunwu, who was seriously injured and comatose on the bed, and patted his forehead. Yunwu didn't have much injury, but what caused her coma was that there was a repulsive force in her body, which was gradually devouring her spiritual power. It was like 2 tit-for-tat forces rushing in Yunwu's body, and no one had ever heard of it give way. Since you know the situation, can't you eliminate that force? Or treatment? Mu Xiaoming no longer spoke, but his eyebrows and eyes were full of pain. Treatment? Now the collision of the 2 forces in Yunwu's body. He simply can't use the usual treatment. If there's a way, he will never blame himself like now. As a doctor, in the face of the patient, but powerless, and in the face of friends, can do nothing to double attack. He cannot breathe, can only helplessly shake his head. After all, Mu Xiaoming is the medical skill of the wood world. Otherwise, let's invite some people to come and have a look. At this time, Yunlingyi suddenly opens his mouth, and it's not difficult to see his anxious worry from his face. And Yunlingyi's words are naturally the only way to do it at this time. Yunqi orders to go down immediately. Others, on the one hand, have to worry about Yunwu's injury, on the other hand, have to think about what happened before. But some people who took part in the Battle of the Beast Gate thought that the black light suddenly fell from the sky. Wasn't it similar to the black light suddenly shrouded in Long Qingxie during the war? What on earth is that? Where on earth has Long Qingxie gone? Long Qingxie is not here. Cloud Dance is seriously injured. The days that were supposed to be hot and bustling disappeared in an instant. General! General! Here comes the doctor, just when the crowd was at a loss. A notice suddenly came to mind outside the door. Come in, please. Yunqi and Yunlingji quickly stand up and welcome the people in person. The visitor was an old man. As soon as he came in, he was directly dragged to Yunwu's bedside for treatment. Mu Xiaoming and others also stood up, anxiously waiting for the result. Mingming's room was full of people, but everyone was afraid to come out. Mu Xiaoming held his fist tightly, and he only hated that he could master all the things that doctors in the world knew. Lying on the bed, Yunwu's face turns pale. The two forces in the body collide continuously, sometimes gently and sometimes seriously. When the two forces touch fiercely, Yunwu will suddenly burst out with a mouthful of blood. One side, immediately someone took the handkerchief to wipe clean for her. Cloud Dance knew nothing about all this, still fell into a coma. Half a ring. I'm sorry, General Yun. I can't do anything about it. It's really strange for Miss. I've never seen it before. The old man was pale and knelt down on the ground with a plop. Yunlingyi sighed deeply, waved, and let him leave. Mu Xiaoming's medical skill is not low. Now the old man is the most skilled in medicine in the whole country, and he has no way. Who else has a way? Yunlingyi frowned tightly, and the sadness under his eyes was obvious. Is this destiny? Yunqi sighed and said, looking at the Cloud Dance on the bed, Yunlingyi is very heartbroken. His eyes are red, and he just brushes his sleeve directly. Nangong, Yi, and others are sitting in a nearby house, silent. For a long time, Shangwan finally couldn't sit down, patted the table, and stood up. You can't think of a way. Now Small Five has become like this. You all have a word to say. We've all been traveling for such a long time, and we've seen a lot of things. Is there nothing we can do? The expression of the crowd became more depressed. Now Long Qingxie is missing, Cloud Dance is in a coma, Cloud family is in a panic, the whole imperial city is also a sigh. Now the first thing we can do is to stabilize the experts from all walks of life. In this case, it is inevitable to meet some emotional people and do something. Nangong, he said that his eyes narrowed slightly, and he seemed to be thinking about something. These people are very close to us. When Little Dragon Dance goes out of evil, there will be a lot of people clamoring to get revenge from the power of that day. Just after the removal of the Beast Gate, the morale of the people of the Cloud family army is even higher. Mu Xiaoming frowned and said, what we need to do now is to find more doctors and try our best to treat Xiao Wu. Second, we should stabilize the whole human world, prevent the occurrence of rumors, so as to avoid the turbulence of people's hearts. At the same time, we should also stabilize those officers and men, so that they do not act rashly. Third, send some calm people to find the whereabouts of Long Qingxie, and bring back the news is the most important. Everyone nodded seriously, and then began to discuss specific actions. The next day, the imperial city, which was supposed to be decorated with lights, became extremely dull, and even there were all kinds of rumors. Oh, what a wonderful day. It's just that something like this happened. Heaven is jealous of the talent. In the tavern, someone sighed. Not only the heaven envies the talent, but also the beauty. What a wonderful couple, or a great benefactor of the whole human world and the upper world. Why do you think this happened? Alas, why? Someone suddenly thought of something and said, do you think it's the Gate of Beasts? How can it be? All the old nests of the Beast Gate have been taken. And even if it's the Beast Gate, do they dare to make trouble? I think it might be from other places. My God. Also, is it another Beast Gate? As soon as this statement came out, people around them turned pale and looked at each other. No one dared to say more. Although the Gate of 10,000 Beasts has been destroyed, the impression that our Gate of 10,000 Beasts has brought to you is too deep. It has left indelible traces in the hearts of everyone who has experienced it. Now it's hard to get peace, and once you think about going back to the old days, a sense of fear from the bottom of your heart attacks everyone's heart. The same argument takes place everywhere in the human world and the upper world. At Yun's home, everyone is still at a loss for the symptoms of Yunwoo. As soon as Yunxi is worried, she simply publishes a call post in her own name on the bulletin board of the whole imperial city to call on famous doctors from all walks of life. Yunwoo is very kind to the whole human world. All the people know that Yunwoo is the leader of the Yunjiao army and helps them eliminate the Beast Gate. Therefore, as soon as the edict was issued, all kinds of doctors came in a short time. For a time, the Cloud family was crowded, but no one could tell why. Almost everyone's answer is the same. There are two forces fighting each other in her body, which leads to her coma. But how to stop this phenomenon? No one can say it. On the other hand, Yunlingyi also gathered many soldiers and people who came to attend the wedding to pacify the people. Everybody Yunlingyi stands in the yard of Yun's family and looks at the indignant experts sitting in the yard. He is moved by the loyalty of these people. But the same, even more sad for the status quo. Thank you very much for coming to my daughter's wedding, but I didn't expect that such a thing would happen. So now I can only say sorry to you. If you still have something to do, you can leave by yourself. When we find a good son-in-law and cure our daughter, we will invite you again. A bearded man suddenly stood up and yelled, General Yun, that's wrong with you. At the beginning, Miss Yun and young Xia Long took us all to attack the Beast Gate. They were the pioneers in everything. To be honest, they were the first to kill the Beast Gate. Now that they are in trouble, are we going to be ungrateful and stand by? General Cloud, as long as you give us an order, we are willing to go up the Sword Mountain and down the Sea of Fire for Miss Yun. A touch of emotion flashed across Yunlingyi's face. To tell you the truth, we don't have a clue now. We just don't want to delay you. And the troublemaker is afraid of. I didn't say the following, but everyone understood. General Yun, don't belittle yourself. With so many of us, are we still afraid that we can't deal with them? Yun Qi and Yunlingyi look at each other and shake their heads. They're afraid they can't cope with it. Let's talk about it. If it hadn't been for Yunwoo and Longqingxi, they took us to defeat the Beast Gate. Could we have such a good life now? The man turned his head and looked at the people behind him. Seeing that they all nodded their heads, he became more firm. I don't want to see our life-saving benefactor become like this. I'm a big old man. I don't know how to be unreasonable and don't know etiquette, but I know how to repay my kindness. I believe these brothers behind me will not give up, do you think? Because of what the big man said, all the people behind them clamored that they would not leave and would kill the person alive. Shangwan could not laugh or cry in the room. He turned his head and looked at the people around him. These people are really loyal. Now, they're so noisy without knowing who they are. If this continues, I'm afraid General Yun will be out of control. Yes, what can we do? Someone has to come forward to suppress this matter. No matter what generals or ministers they are, these people are most loyal. I'm afraid 10 cows can't be brought back for this kind of thing. Just as he was saying this, he suddenly saw a man running in from the outside. When everyone was wondering who this man was, the Shangwan suddenly exclaimed in surprise, Little Stink? Little Stink didn't catch his breath. He nodded in a hurry. Shangwan was very surprised. He quickly went forward and took him to sit down. Mengbai poured him a glass of water and asked, Why are you here? Since the termination of the contract, Xiao Smelly went back to the Phoenix clan. Originally, he came to attend the Cloud Dance wedding, but he didn't expect to hear that something happened yesterday. He came almost non-stop. Mama has an accident. Can I not come? What's the matter? For Yunwoo's feelings, he is far more nervous than other contract animals. However, without waiting for others to speak, he also said, By the way, my father has also come. He seems to know something. At this time, he is talking with Mama's grandfather in the room over there. Shangwan turns to see that Yunqi, who used to be around Yunlingyi, has disappeared. Nangong, he felt a little relieved at the bottom of his heart when he heard the words, If your father comes, there are some ways. Nangong Yi's words naturally make Meng Bai and others feel a little relieved. However, at this time, It seems that the outside is not stable. Although sometimes it's easy to do things when there are many people, there are many troubles when there are many people. Nangong, he stood up and walked towards the door. I'll talk to old General Yin. You wait here first. Then he pushed the door out. Nangong, Yi, and Xiaoqiu come out. The excitement of the crowd is finally suppressed. After all, no matter Nangong, Yi, or Xiaoqiu, everyone knows their identity. At night, led by Yunqi, the dark beast comes to Yunwu's room. When he saw the cloud dance, little Stink could not help blushing. How can hemp become like this? What the hell is going on? Everyone looked at each other, and no one could tell why. At this time, the dark beast came forward to have a look. The pupils suddenly contracted and could not help sighing, "What a powerful force." Powerful power? As soon as the words came out, people concentrated their eyes on him. Then the dark beast realized that he had made a slip of words. After deep lifting his eyes, he said faintly, "There are two forces in her body, and one of them is probably the residual force of that day." Mu Xiaoming nodded and said, "We have checked this out before, but no one can deal with it." Of course. The dark beast was silent for a moment, and then said, "Her internal strength is too strong, and another force is also powerful and strange. If I don't feel wrong, the other force is the dark force, and what? It's very urgent to stop when you're talking. Besides, even I can't eliminate that dark force. This is the reason why he wants to stop talking. You know, he is the evil beast of darkness, which originates from the darkness. If even he can't eliminate the power of darkness, you can imagine how far he has reached." As soon as the words came out, people's faces became silent. Are they so helpless? Seeing the people's faces, the dark beast could only continue to say, "But there is another way, that is, by herself. When the power in her body reaches a relative balance, or can swallow the external power, she will wake up. As for us, it's not appropriate to intervene." In fact, it's the same as not saying, isn't it? Yunlingyi asked, "Is this the only way? Can we just wait and see?" "That's right." The dark beast said, "Maybe you can continue to look for a doctor. Maybe we can still find it." But this sentence has no credibility at all. Looking at the depressed faces of all the people, Shangguan stood up and said, "That's right. I think no matter how possible it is, we should try it. There will always be some hidden masters in the world. Even if there is only a little possibility, we should grasp it." People smell speech, although in the heart understand hope is not big. But at this time, people all force of nod. Hope is better than no hope. The imperial edict to find a doctor is still going on, and the task of finding a strong one is unfolding behind the scenes, but there is no clue. 3 months passed in a flash. Yunwu didn't wake up all the time, but it was amazing that her abdomen became bigger day by day, just like a pregnant woman this day. "Doctor, please come in. Miss is right here." A maid and a gray-haired old man enter Yunwu's sleeping room. At this time, Qi Yi's is the only one in the room except Yunwu. Since this period of time, everyone has been around Yunwu, in turn every day, waiting for Yunwu to wake up. Seeing the doctor come in, Qi Yi stands up quickly. I don't know who he is these days. Although he knew that there was little hope, Yunlingyi, Yunqi, Shangguan, and others never gave up looking for a doctor. Even many hermit experts were invited to come. "Thank you," Cheese politely said to the old man. Then led him to one side, let him doctor for cloud, dance diagnosis, and treatment. He has a worried look on the side. After a long time, the old man finally opened his eyes, which were full of doubts. "How's it going?" Chi asked away hastily. The old man shook his head and said, "Looking at its shape, it should be pregnancy," but hearing the word "just," Chi's heart sank. I don't know how many times it is in such a long time. Almost every doctor's words are the same. Chi's even guessed what the old man was going to say next. Sure enough, the doctor then said, "It's just that there's no pulse that pregnant women should have." Chi Knight sighed, but shook his head. "Thank you, sir." Shame. Mrs. Pulse is so rare that I can't incompetent." The old man said with shame and left under the guidance of the maid. Chi's frowned and stood by the bed, his eyes on Yunwu's protruding abdomen for a long time. Now the power of cloud dance seems to be more powerful, just standing by the bed, can vaguely feel the constant collision of two forces in her body. It's just that compared with 3 months ago, no matter how fierce the collision of these forces is, it won't affect Cloud Dance. Chi sighed. Xiaowu, when on earth can you wake up? Creak dash a sound. The door was opened again. Small stink rate first came in. As soon as Xiao Cho came in, he ran directly to the Cloud Dance on the bed and asked Chi's, "How's Mama? Not awake yet? Did the doctor just now have nothing to do? Will the doctor come today?" A series of questions like a barrage of thoughts. Chi Knight lost in the past, but the small, stinky eyes are always in the body of Cloud Dance. Until Yunwu sighed. Little Smelly could not help sighing when he saw Yunwu, which had no change from the day before. After that, Shangwan and others came in, including Bai Shuer, Lan Yu, and Hongling. Since they were called out that day, because of Yunwu's coma, they didn't sleep by themselves, but were outside. What's more strange is that the contractual relationship between them and Yunwu is completely cut off by something. This kind of situation is very rare. As if they were completely independent, they were not bound by contract. But if they can choose, they would rather choose to be able to sense the contact of the contract. At least then, they can know the situation of Cloud Dance. Well, you don't feel anything about her now. The Red Fire Dragon sighed and asked by Schwerer. Red Fire Dragon did not return to the Dragon Clan. At least, during the period when Yunwu was still in a coma, he could not go away. Bai Shuer shook her head helplessly, not to mention the current situation of the host. I even feel that the existence of the contract has become very weak. Lan Yu frowned and said in a cool voice, "If it goes on like this, I'm really afraid." "Don't talk nonsense." Red Ling stares at Nai to interrupt his words. "Didn't you see that we three are still good? There's a contract. If there is something wrong with the master, we should also be affected. If we have no influence, it means that the master is okay. That said, the contract is getting weaker and weaker. Is it the master who doesn't want us, or is the contract being swallowed up?" Bai Shuer said with a frown. Little Smelly stood up from the bed. "My father had something to do with the family a few days ago, so he went back. Today, he came back again. He is coming here. When he arrives, let him have a look. Maybe he can feel something." Smell speech. Everybody nods. In any case, the Dark Beast seems to have a better way than those doctors. So, they waited patiently for the arrival of the Dark Beast. Before long, Meng Bai said, "Here comes," in surprise, and everyone raised their spirits one after another. Sure enough, but for a moment, the shadow of the Dark Beast appeared in the room. The Dark Beast just entered the door, frowning, and then quickly walked to the bed. "The dark power has been strengthened." "What?" Shangwan and others were stunned. They all set their eyes on him and wanted him to go on. But the Dark Beast did not answer, but went directly to Yunwu's side and observed carefully. At last, he closed his eyes and carefully examined the situation in Yunwu's body. All the people dare not go out for fear of disturbing him. After a long time, the Dark Beast opened his eyes, dignified. The power in her, the dark power in her, has really increased, and it's more and more like me. As soon as the words came out, people's faces became a little strange. Like his breath? Why is that so awkward? How to say? It should be the same as the dragon's evil breath. Wait, Shangwan suddenly said, "I remember that the power of dragon's evil spirit seemed to be darkness. So, the power of dragon's evil spirit remained in Xiaowu's body. It should be that he was pregnant. But I have carefully checked that there is no breath of life in the dark force." The next sentence of the Dark Beast directly poured cold water on Shangwan. Although the stomach is a little big, if there is no breath of life, either there is no pregnancy, or it could be stillbirth. Stillbirth. They all exclaimed with one voice. Originally, they thought that it was a great tragedy to be forced to separate the day before the wedding. These days, they are eager to prove that Yunwu has children, which can make Yunwu have the power to wake up. Now, however, that hope has been dashed. If Yunwu really wakes up and disappears the dragon, the child she is pregnant with is still stillborn. What a blow to people! I'm just speculating. Seeing that the faces of the people were too heavy, the dark beast could not help saying, but what he said was not convincing. Well, didn't Nangong go back to divination? Don't you mean we could deliver the results today? Maybe they can tell us what to do. Maybe they can find a way to wake up Xiao Wu. Mu Xiaoming said suddenly. Because he has no idea. Nangong can't help looking for his father. Although their Nangong family is famous for divination, sometimes they can't do everything. What's more, there's a saying that heaven's secrets can't be revealed. But he finally decided to go to his father. As soon as Mu Xiaoming finished talking about Chow Chow's arrival, a notice came from the door, saying that the Nangong family had arrived. They left the caretakers behind and went to the main hall in a hurry. In the main hall, Nangongji and Nangongshui are sitting with their heads down. Their faces are too heavy. As soon as they get to the main hall, they have a bad feeling. Nangongji, Chi took the lead to ask. Nangong just raised his head. He was very tired because of his divination for many days. His face was a little pale. When he saw the visitor, he reluctantly showed a smile. Here you are. Shangwan clenched his fist and went forward directly. Nangongji, you can say anything. Even if the result of divination is bad, you can't hide anything. Clinker, but Nangong gave a bitter smile and said, if only you could make divination. Everyone was stunned. What does this mean? Nangongshui sighed. To tell you the truth, whether it's the future of the child in Miss Yun's womb or the whereabouts of Long Shitzi, we can't figure out the reason with all our efforts. It's as if they never appeared in this world. There's nothing we can do in the main hall, because the words fell into a dead silence for a long time. No one spoke. In the twinkling of an eye, a few months later, Yunwu's stomach is getting bigger and bigger, but Yunwu is still sleeping and has no intention of waking up. On the bed, Yunwu closed her eyes tightly, motionless, breathing quietly. Her face was right, but there was no sign of waking up. She was still asleep. Her bedside, surrounded by a circle of people, Shangwan, Nangong, and others are also here, nervous looking at the doctor next to her pulse. The atmosphere was dignified. After a long time, the doctor who sat by the bed to feel the pulse of Yunwu finally stood up, and everyone was more nervous. How's it going? Yanqi nervously asked the doctor who was packing his things. His hands are shaking and his eyes are red. Yunlingyi holds him and keeps silent. Back to the old general, it seems that the young lady is about to give birth, but now it seems that the young lady has no sign of waking up. The doctor was very scared and said, Pale, if this continues when the child was born that day, Miss is very dangerous. After a few words, the faces of the people who said it all became serious. Yunqi falters and nearly falls down. He is held by Yunlingyi. Shangwan stood by Yunwu's bed, frowning. His expression was very ugly, and the people around him were silent. How is she now? Nangong, he asked. If this child is born, will it pose a threat to her? But the doctor shook his head and sighed. For now, I don't quite understand what's going on, but it's still the same as before, no improvement, no change, and still no consciousness, just coma. What's the matter? Shangwan angrily shook his sleeve and turned out of the room. Nangong, and others also look at each other, say goodbye to Yunling, Yunqi, and turn around one after another. When they came to the temporary house for Shangwan, several people sat down and poured a cup of tea. They were all silent. They gathered around the table and couldn't find a better topic to discuss. Tell me what happened to Yunwu this time. The baby is about to be born, but she still doesn't wake up and doesn't know what will happen next. Shangwan said to himself. At last, he sighed and held his eyebrows in silence. Longqing Xie, Longqing Xie, the daughter-in-law is about to die. Where are you? Don't tell me to show up quickly. Shangwan scratched his hair hard, very anxious. Yunwu's stomach is still growing, which makes everyone worried. They are afraid that there will be any problems with Yunwu, and they don't know what harm it will do if Yunwu doesn't wake up when the child is born. At the same time, everyone is looking forward to the recovery of Cloud Dance. But day after day, the Cloud Dance still did not move. This day, Nangong, and Yunqi are discussing the information they got about the dragon's evil. A guard outside suddenly runs in and rushes in front of Yunqi and says, Report to the general. Someone is asking for help outside. They say there's a way to wake up the young lady. The words made the Shangwan and others present stunned for a while, but they soon recovered. I think that since this period of time, there have been such people continuously, but in the end they either failed or cheated. Let it go. Yin Lingyi frowned and was very impatient. Wait, what else did the man say? Yin Qi asks. Anyway, he didn't want to let go of any hope. When a man had said that, he said that he came from the top of the desert. The guard answered seriously. The top of the desert? When they heard the speech, they were stunned. Immediately, they looked at each other and saw the incomprehension in each other's eyes. Who is it? During this period, people came from all over the world, but no doctor came to the top of the desert. The biggest problem is that the top of the desert is a place of no care. It's no surprise that there is no doctor. But now there are people from the top of the desert, which is the strangest. Finally, several people decided to invite people in. Not long. A man in a black robe walked slowly from the outside. The black hood and black robe made him look very cold and not easy to get close to. On his handsome face, with a smile in his eyes, a slight lift in the corner of his mouth, and long white fingers sticking out of his black robe, he came here with a feeling of mystery. However, when he saw the visitor, Shangwan suddenly stood up from his seat, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. Looking at the man coming, he was a little surprised. Yes, Knight Nangong, and others can't help but stand up. Looking at the people approaching in front of them, their brows are slightly wrinkled, but the fondness of their eyes is also a bit unexpected. Cloud Cold, one faced doubts. Do you really know? He is the leader of 10 cities on the top of the desert. Knight, he really helped me a lot at the beginning. Shangwan nodded to explain. 10 cities on top of the desert. After all, he had seen a lot of mercenary soldiers on the top of the desert, but he didn't seem to have heard of the name of the head of 10 cities. However, listening to Shangwan's words and looking at the expressions of Nangong, and others, it seems that this knight really has something to do with it. Yin Qi is also polite. He gets up and looks at the man who comes in. After entering the living room that night, Shangwan took the lead in saying, Lord of the Night, I don't know what brings you here. In fact, what he wanted to ask most was what he could do to cure the 5th graders. But although he once helped them, he suddenly appeared. I didn't know if there was any other purpose, so he began to smile in an official way. Why didn't this man come in the fight with the Beast Gate, but suddenly appeared at this time? Situ Lan asks Nangong around him quietly. Nangong narrowed his eyes slightly and shook his head slowly. The teacup in his hand seemed to be thinking about something. Who knows what happened? I don't know what I came here for. I don't believe he is a bad man, but I will never admit that he is a good man. Mengbai snorted in a low voice. No matter what, watch it change. Nangong Yi's brow is more tight. But these 3 people's whispered words naturally grasped the sound volume. But the Shangwan, who was not far away, could hear them very clearly. Don't be so polite. I won't have any bad feelings when I come here this time. However, I just heard that something happened to Yunwu girl, and I just know some medical skills. Night Low voice is very kind to say. Handsome face also smile, but I do not know why, but obviously give people a sense of inexplicable sparse cold. Smell speech, South Palace, etc. all couldn't help looking at each other. If you can, please take me to see Yunwu girl. Night looked at the presence of people. Hook lip smile continued to say. The purpose of his coming here is very clear. I think the Night Lord is dusty. Why don't you have a rest in the mansion first? Cloud Cold words haven't finished, but by night suddenly words to interrupt. If I guess correctly, the situation of Yunwu girl is not optimistic at this time. Are you sure you want me to have a rest first? This word falls. Everybody brows see you. How do you know? Has it been investigated for a long time? Yin Qi's brows are locked, but he thinks that his granddaughter, who has been in a coma for several months and is in danger, is still anxious in the end. He sighs and says, I'll take you. Yedian nods, but before Yun Qi leads the way, he automatically walks towards the inner courtyard. This behavior made everyone present alert. Yun Qi is ready to catch up, but Nangong politely stops him and whispers, Grandfather Yun, this man is mysterious. Although he helped us at the beginning, I can't predict his life experience. I'm afraid. This is what Nangong is most worried about. He always feels that it's not easy to come. Yin Chi sighed, looking sad. But what can I do? Now that my granddaughter has become like this, I can only believe in this life. Dead horse should be a live horse doctor. After that, he pushed aside Nangong Yi's hand and followed him out. How can Yinling Yi not understand Yin Chi's mood? As a father, he is more ashamed and heartache, so he doesn't say anything. Nangong Yi and others look at each other, and they all follow up in a hurry. Cloud Dance bedroom. Yunwu lay there quietly. If it wasn't for the ups and downs of her chest, everyone would doubt whether she was dead. Night went forward, carefully looked at Yunwu's face, and touched Yunwu's hand. Then she pulled the corner of her mouth and murmured. As expected, Cloud Coldy in front of Bright immediately walked forward, anxiously asked, "Do you know why my daughter is unconscious?" The knight narrowed her eyes, turned around, went to the table behind the crowd, sat down, poured a glass of water, drank a mouthful, and then said, "The reason why Yunwu can't wake up is because of the child in her stomach." In a short sentence, all the people present were stunned. So many doctors have been invited, but no doctor can definitely say the cause of Yunwu's coma, and no doctor can be sure that the growing belly is a child. Although the visual inspection should be pregnant. After all, no doctor has ever felt the pulse of pregnancy. Of course, people's surprise was not obvious. Nangong asked in a low voice, "Child, can you feel the pulse of pregnancy?" When I heard the speech at night, I laughed inexplicably, as if with some general interest. You people, doctors, naturally can't feel the pulse of pregnancy, but it doesn't mean I can't feel it. After all, it's not human. The last sentence, coupled with his strange smile, made people shiver. He's not human? But then it occurred to everyone that he came from the top of the desert, which was a place full of good and bad people. It was not surprising that there were all kinds of people. However, in the past few months, there have been doctors like the dragon, the phoenix, and the wood, but no one has ever felt the pulse of pregnancy. That way, is his clan special after all? However, he did not wait for the audience to ask questions, so he spoke again. It seems that you should also know that the cloud dance is the blood of the witch family, while the dragon Qingxie is the blood of the evil family, and the two are the opposite systems of light and darkness. Speaking of this, the knight suddenly stopped for a while, slightly raised his eyes to see a few people on the scene, as if to see how the expression of the people. In fact, Shengwan do know about Yunwu and Longqing, but Yunqi and Yunlingji are not very clear. But what is it about their blood? The so-called extremes must be reversed, and when two people who are completely opposite are combined, it naturally forms the phenomenon of exclusion. Generally speaking, it is impossible for them to have children at all, but it's impossible for two people who have children to have children at this time. After a pause at night, she looked down at Yunwu's bulging stomach and said in a low voice, "She is pregnant with this child, which is impossible. So if I guess correctly, this child is born with a special constitution." When people heard this, they were speechless. However, I have to say that what he said is reasonable and can also explain the unknown situation in recent months. Well, what can we do to make her recover? Yin Lingyi and Yun Qi ask anxiously. While they are anxious, they even forget the reminder given by Nangong just now and want an answer. Recovery? The voice of the night with unspeakable emotion, low voice as if ridicule in general, instantly let everyone's hearts sink down. It's not impossible for her to wake up, but this child, you don't want it. What did you say? Everyone screamed out in a flash, and everyone's face was wonderful. What are you talking about? That's a numb child. How could it be that I didn't want it? Little Stinky has a quick temper and is the first to speak out. Yes, now Longqing Xie is not here. If Yunwu wakes up and finds that he has lost his child, Mu Xiuming tightly screwed his brows, but the assumption behind it could not be said anymore. They felt heavy in their hearts. No one spoke anymore. Their thoughts were the same as those of Mu Xiuming. No matter it was Yunwu or the unborn child in Yunwu's stomach, they could not give up and did not want to give up. Is there really no way? Yunqi's pale face reveals despair. Knight's eyes took a deep look on his face. Instead of answering his question, he asked, "Do you know why she is in a coma? Didn't you say it was because of her baby?" Shangwan asked suspiciously. The knight turns around and looks at the cloud dance on the bed. People watch him turn around and wait for the next answer. The voice of the knight is not impatient, as if saying something unimportant, but every word affects the heart of everyone present. This child is not supposed to exist. She is a sacred being, but the man is a dark being. Such two people can't be together at all. But they have children. The voice of the knight swept through the crowd and asked, "What do you think of such a union in the world?" The crowd was silent, and they couldn't say anything, because after racking their brains, they found that they could not imagine what kind of existence it was, as if there would not be such an existence in the world. Bai Schwerer opened her mouth slightly, and finally said in a weak voice, "This it can't exist at all, but now that the child exists, is he holy or dark? What kind of energy should we rely on to survive?" You just want to keep your children and adults. Have you ever thought about that? What is the nature of the child born from the combination of the sacred and the dark? People think carefully. Can such a child absorb both kinds of energy? Or can't you absorb both? Look at the current situation of Yunwu. "Isn't it, Yun?" she exclaimed. "I'm afraid such a child in the fetus can only absorb the energy of the mother." A word awakens the dreamer, and then everyone immediately understands. Is Xiao Wu in a coma now because the child has absorbed the energy in her body? Shangwan can't help but say in surprise, "Although I know that babies rely on their mothers to provide energy when they are in the womb, I didn't expect that this child could be so powerful that Yunwu would not wake up for such a long time. It's really terrible." Knight mouth a hook, slightly nodded, can be regarded as agree with his words. At the beginning, there were two forces constantly colliding in her body. Such a collision would occasionally have some forces transmitted to the baby. The sacred force collided with the dark force and was absorbed by the baby at the same time, but it was not enough, so he had to get energy from the body of Cloud Dance. If it was not for the two precious forces in the body of Cloud Dance, I'm afraid she can't bear the absorption of the child. Everyone looked at each other. I didn't expect such a thing happened to this child before he was born. If he could be born, he would not be an ordinary person, but now. So, the child and she really can only protect one? Maybe the power in Xiaowu is so strong that if the child can be born. Cloud Cold Ehartake said, "After all, is their own children, if there's a trace of possibility, he is not willing to do so. Don't think about it. The child system is so special that it won't be born until the energy in her body is drained." Originally, there was still a fluke mentality. People who felt that there was always a way to have the best of both worlds only felt that their hearts seemed to fly into the sky and fell heavily into hell. Of course, they want Yunwu to wake up, but the baby is almost in the month of birth. I'm afraid it's already formed in the stomach. But now it's like this in such a big room. There was a dead silence, and everyone's face was full of sadness. Nangong, he looked at people's faces, and his lips moved. "Don't be too sad. My father has divined again. Maybe this time he can divine the result." Everyone knew that what he said was just words of comfort, but he still nodded with a bitter smile. Only Yun Lingyi and Yun Qi look at each other and see their thoughts in each other's eyes. For the two of them, no matter how bad the night was, they had never been in touch with each other. A man suddenly came out and brought such a despairing news. They were not willing to believe it. Instead, they had better hoped that the Nangong family could give an answer. That night, after all, was an outsider. The corner of the knight's mouth has a radiant. Divination? Even if it's divination, I'm afraid it's similar to what I said. Sure enough, it wasn't long before someone reported that the Nangong family had sent news. "Please get someone in." Yunqi and others have been worried for a long time. Now, when they hear that someone is coming, they can't even ask someone to sit in the main hall and say. So, they let someone into the room directly. Nangong Shui came in under the guidance of the maid. Before she could speak, they surrounded her directly. "What's up? Did the divination work out?" Cloud Cold, anxiously asks away. "Is there any divination? Does Xiao have a way to wake up?" Has the dragon fallen down? Shangwan then asked, what's the result of divination? Good or bad? Everyone wanted to say something, but they were afraid that it would disturb Yunwu, so they could only keep their voice as low as possible. Maybe they just got the reason of Yunwu's coma from the mouth of the night. So now we all want to get more information from Nangongshui. Don't worry, everyone. Nangong Water's face flashed hesitation. It was obvious that he had divined something, but he was hesitating whether to tell you. Brother Nangong. Yun Lingy stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. The two of them were of the same generation. Yin Lingy understood his feelings best. No matter what the result of divination is, you can tell it. To be honest, just now this young master has told us the reason why Xiaowu is unconscious. I think we already know the worst thing. Nangong Water Smell Speech. The fundus of the eye is quite puzzled. Turned to see the eye that night. Although can't see his identity, can the bottom of the heart inexplicably tremble. Of course, the knight just nodded with a gentle smile to Nangongshui's sight, which was a greeting. Nangong Water half ring, just reaction come over. Startled feel oneself lose posture, just clear voice way. You already know the reason of her coma? Yes. Nangong naturally noticed that his father was just different, but he didn't ask many questions in public. Instead, he simply recounted what he had just said. This. Nangong Water frowned, and his eyes were obviously shocked and speechless. Yin Qi frowned. What's the matter? If you have anything to say, just say it. Nangong Water swallowed hard and said, this is exactly the same as my divination result. What did you say? Yin Lingy exclaimed. Nangongshui gave a wry smile. I only divined the cause of Yunwu's coma. I want to tell you immediately, but I don't think you already know. Yes, between the child and her only one. The original idea that Knight was a stranger and didn't believe in it disappeared. Unexpectedly, all this was true. Even the result of Nangongshui's divination told them that only one child and Yunwu could be left. Was it really God's will? Everyone's reaction fell in the eyes of the knight. A pair of deep eyes can't see any emotion. People's doubt didn't make him feel the slightest move, more didn't have any arrogance because everyone suspected the mistake. Don't think too simply. The child has a special constitution. Even if you really decide to kill the child, there's no way to kill him. Knight's words once again let people into despair. Today, we are receiving too much news, and they can hardly bear the strong psychology. Do you want to let them die 2 times? Mu Xiaoming walks up to Yunwu with a painful expression on his face. Xiao Wu, I'm incompetent. As a doctor, I can't protect your children. As a friend, I can't protect you. What are you talking about? Meng Bai stepped forward and said, it's not your fault for Xiao Wu's accident. How can you blame yourself for not being able to cure it? Is it just you who can't help it? With so many of us, we have no choice. Now what we have to do is to figure out how to kill Xiao Wu while preserving her. As soon as Meng Bai's voice stagnated, he couldn't speak anymore. Meng Bai is right. Qi said, as long as we can make Yunwu wake up safely, we can do anything. The eyebrow of Knight lightly picks. Seemed to be some surprised of ask away. Anything? As soon as the words came out, everyone was stunned, and they didn't move. Cloud Qi raises Mao to see toward the Knight. The facial expression is rather to flash over his silk hastily to say, you this words is what meaning? Is there any other way? Isn't it? Yunqi is not a hairy boy, but others can understand his inner suffering. His focus now is his granddaughter. But this night, after all, he was not the one who understood. Suddenly, he came out. He didn't know what his purpose was. Even if he was so excited that he wanted to come forward and ask him by the collar, he could only bear it. Knight, do you have any idea? Nangong, he stands in front of the crowd for fear that others will be excited. In fact, his hand in his sleeve is shaking constantly, and his palms are sweating to show his nervousness. Knight Light glanced at Cloud Chi one eye, clearly have no any emotion, but inexplicably give a person a kind of imperceptible, strange feeling. Fortunately, he still spoke. The way to save her is to kill the child, but if you do, you may all die. A few people in the heart of shock. Just a short moment, Hongling directly stood out. I would like to. I'm the contract beast of the master. If the master has an accident, I'm afraid I can't live. In this case, it's better to have a try. Maybe I can wake the master up. Not to mention, I don't want anything to happen to my master. As soon as Hongling's words were finished, Xiaoqiu also stood up. And me, you said that you would die, but you just need a few people's lives, right? You say you need a few, and I'm the one. I can't watch Numbness die, little stink. The dark beast, who came to observe the situation on the outside, had a movement in his heart, but as soon as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by little stink. Don't stop me. Hemp is very important to me. If it's you and your mother who have such an accident, I will do the same. Don't look at the face of the dark beast. Although he is his father, Yunwu is more important in his heart. Don't make a noise, little stink. Shangguan said in a low voice, You are the pure blood demon Huang of the Phoenix family, and your position is very important. If you have an accident, what do you want the Phoenix family to do? What's more, besides Xiao Wu, you also have family members and clansmen. This kind of thing, I'm more suitable. I'm carefree. Even if there's an accident, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've already. Shangguan, don't say that. Shiyi's came up and said, You and our friends, you can make any of our belongings your home. Everyone here, no matter who has an accident, will feel sad. At least, when Yunwu wakes up, she will be very sad. Chi Knight's words abruptly let the next people who are ready to speak all stop the words about to export. Knight, you just say what you have to do to find a way to kill the child. Nangong, he said. Knight has been quietly looking at everyone. Did not expect to see such a scene. He thought that when he put forward such a request, no one will try to save Yunwu. It seems that he despised these so-called human friendships. Since you want to know so much, I will tell you the way. It's up to you to decide whether or not to do it, and who to do it. Yejin continued. The reason why I say I can't save her is that this method is almost impossible. At least so far, no one in the human world and the upper world can do it. The child in her stomach is basically a freak with dark and sacred constitution. If you want to get rid of it, you have to find several things which are distributed at the east, south, west, and north ends of the upper boundary. That's more dangerous than the human world. Do you really want to go? Mu Xiaoming said, Tell us the location of those things directly. We'll start as soon as possible, but what about Xiao Wu after we leave? Give it to me, you just need to find those things as soon as possible. Nightlight said. The crowd looked at each other and finally nodded. He takes out a pen and paper from his personal space, quickly writes a few addresses and names on one side of the table, then folds it up and hands it to Nanganji. These things are things that ordinary people can't see. Remember, don't let others know your purpose at any time. Several people nodded, feeling that these 4 things must be very precious, so they could not be known to the world, so that they would not be robbed. Naturally, they felt that the words of the knight were reasonable and did not think about anything. After that, Knight was arranged to rest in a room near Yunwu, and Nangong directly began to discuss how to find the 4 things that day. Finally, Nanganji and Shiyi's went to the east of the upper world to find the things of Jiang and the fire of the other world. Xiaoqiu and Meng Bai went to the west of the upper world to find the most thing and the ice of the soul. Shangguan and Mu Xiaoming went to the north of the upper boundary to look for Tianxian jade. Lan Yu, Hong Ling, and Bai Shui'er go to the south of the upper boundary to search for Dishairy Eye. Others guard the human world to prevent accidents at any time. After grouping, people just feel that they can't wait for a moment. They quickly pack up their things and set off directly. In the middle of the night, each figure flies away from Yun's home quickly and flies toward the transmission array to the upper boundary. 2 days later, in the middle of the night, the heavily guarded Cloud family. Although Yunwu gets the way to wake up, Yunxi and Yunlingji still can't lift their spirits. Their unborn grandson will die in their hands. No matter who they are, they won't be happy. After Shangguan and them left, Yunxi still went to Yunwu's room to watch her every day. Whenever they had time, they would come to accompany her. Occasionally they could see the knight, but they seldom stayed with him. When Nangong left, he told them about the knight's temper, so they were more or less psychologically prepared. He was also Yunwoo's savior, so they didn't neglect him. On this day, Yunxi and Yunwoo stayed in Yunwoo's room for a long time. Looking at Yunwoo's bulging stomach and his face that never woke up, they both sighed and left the room, shaking their heads. I don't know if they can find those things. Cloud Chi sighed and said, Father, don't worry, they will be able to do it. Don't forget, they took everyone to destroy the Beast Gate. Cloud Cold encouraged of say, in fact, oneself and the heart also have no bottom. Well, maybe, Yunxi said. They told the guards to watch Yunwoo well, and then left here one after another. Soon after they left, a figure flashed out in the shadow. The guards didn't find anyone, but they felt a pain in the back of their neck and were directly knocked unconscious. Then, the black shadow moved quickly and went directly into the room. The night is shrouded in black shadow. Looking at the sleeping clouds on the bed, whispered, You should be glad to meet me, or you will really lose this child forever. After that, with a wave of the big hand, the black energy gushed out, directly shrouded the cloud dance, and disappeared into the room where no one in the cloud family even finds out what happened here. It's just that after tomorrow, the whole cloud family and even the human world will not be peaceful. The long night was dark and cool as water. Lying on the bed, Yunwoo breathes quietly. Her black hair is scattered on the pillow. Her face is thin and her lips are pale. She closes her eyes tightly and frowns slightly. Her expression is very sad and dignified. She still has tears in her eyes, purses her lips, and holds the sheet tightly in her hands, but she never wakes up. Since the coma, Yunwoo has been wandering in the deep, sad, and cruel dream. Time and again, she saw the whole sky surging. Time and time again, she saw the dragon fall evil in front of her, seriously injured, and disappeared. Everything happened so unprepared. She burst into tears and attacked the inexplicable black light column again and again, but she was defeated again and again. Dream is the color of blood red, the clouds and the blood wandering. Long Qing Xia, she yelled. The hand of the ancient sword suddenly cut to the front of the black light column, with blood red in the world. Unexpectedly, only the two of them. The black light column constantly erodes the dragon's evil spirit, which makes Yunwoo feel extremely sad. However, the huge power makes her unable to get close to her. She spurts out a mouthful of blood and falls on her knees. Suddenly, a violent pain. Let clouds suddenly brain roar, and the dream can't help but pain hum and then suddenly open his eyes. She thought that what she would see next would be the surging sky and the dragon's evil spirit disappearing in front of her. But she found that there was a dark stone wall in front of her. And I'm like, lying in bed. Her throat is hot and her eyes are sour. She can't help closing her eyes and coughing twice. Yunwoo suddenly finds that her voice is very hoarse. She breathes with pain as if it were on fire. She felt as if her voice was about to explode. She's still in Yunfu? She closed her eyes and let out a breath. She finally got rid of that dream and let her feel relieved. Forcing herself to open her eyes, she moved her body. She felt that her body was like an old rotten wood. Every move would make a sound. How long did she stay in bed? Yunwoo complained in her heart. Looking around, she couldn't see anything clearly because of the darkness, so she had to give up and look inside her body. Her heart sank slightly, because she suddenly found that her body seemed to be eroded by something, and the energy of her body was constantly leaving, and now she also felt very weak. First of all, let yourself not think about the physical problems, but the first thing that comes to mind is another key question. Where is Dragon Qingxia now? She groped in the dark, struggling to get up, but she always felt that something was pressing her stomach. It was very difficult for her to get up. Wait, and her family. Why don't you feel a little angry? And the heart is startled by this terrible idea, and the heart is sink, suddenly sit up. But suddenly he was pushed by his huge stomach and nearly fell back to bed. At this time, Yunwoo was shocked to find that he was her stomach pregnant, looking down at his tummy. And such a big stomach. Obviously is about to give birth, although Yunwoo is still calm on the surface. But her heart has set off waves. She gently stroked her stomach, took a deep breath, and tried to calm herself down. But when did she get pregnant? How long did she sleep and what happened? Why didn't anyone come in? Are all the people in your family dead? A series of doubts swirled in my mind. She closed her eyes and recalled carefully, but suddenly in her mind, there was another scene that the dragon was seriously injured and in a coma and disappeared under the black light column. There were also black clouds rolling in the sky, and the black light column sent out the cold air. All the people tried to disperse the black light column, but they were all scattered and they were all injured to varying degrees. And she, watching the light column, dragon evil gradually disappeared, finally into a trance. The next thing, she did not know, only remember the last consciousness. Someone helped her back to the house, and then no longer conscious. I feel sad and sad. I close my lips. I don't know how long I've been sleeping. The baby in my stomach should grow up when I'm in a coma. Has Long Qingxi been missing for so long? No, I have to find him. Think like this, difficult sit up from the bed, tidy up clothes, ready to go out. Are you awake? All of a sudden, a man's voice appeared in the room, which made Yunwu nervous. This person's voice sounds familiar, but I can't remember who it is. Yunwu frowned and looked at the person who slowly walked into the room with a candle. The man dressed in black, swaying in the candle, can only see a fuzzy figure. The room is dark. He is about to merge with the night. In a heart, a burst of nervous, but now this person is standing in front of her not far away, and she just can't remember who it is. Frowning, Yunwu was very distressed, and he was inconvenient, so he was more alert to strangers who were not familiar with him. That person is not anxious, not slow, slowly approach. Finally, the dim light of the candle, accompanied by the figure of the man, slowly came to Yunwu's bed. Yunwu finally in the dark, completely see his appearance, suddenly in the heart of a surprise night. It's night. At that time, the leader of 10 cities on the top of the desert, the mysterious man who calls himself Night. How could he Night smile, nod as if to say hello to Yunwu, and then turn around, with a candle lit other candles in the room? Yunwu suddenly found that he was not in the general's house. In a strange and simple room, there's only one table and 2 stools in front of the bed. A pot of tea and several cups are placed on the table, while the candlestick is placed on the table at night. Everything around is so strange that Yunwu is very alert. Although facing the night is too mysterious after all. Although it is not the enemy, it is not too close. What's more, we can see at a glance that we are brought by him. She covered her stomach and knew that she had no ability to deal with everything in front of her, but she didn't know whether the night was good or bad. Yunwu wanted to speak, but her throat was hoarse, and she coughed twice. Night slowly poured a glass of water, went to Yunwu's side, handed Yunwu, "Drink some water, your voice has been speechless." Yunwu pursed her lips. This passive situation made her very uncomfortable. Looking up at the night, I didn't take the water cup, but I saw the night's eyes joking. I slowly put the water cup to my mouth, took a drink, and handed it to Yunwu. "Are you afraid that I will poison here?" Yunwu narrowed her eyes slightly, thought for a while, then slowly took the cup and took a drink. Suddenly, a burst of hot throat comfortable. She coughed twice, found that his voice has gradually become normal, heart vomit. But still very suspicious of the night. This has not appeared before, now suddenly appeared at her side. In the end, what idea? The Knight clapped his hands again, so the 2 attendants came up and brought up the dishes and put them on the table. The Knight turned to look at the cloud dance and said, "Eat first. You haven't eaten these days. It's not good to be hungry again." Cloud dance brow tight wrinkly. Don't know, so this person is thinking now exactly what is exactly evil? But now it seems that there is no threat to themselves. So she got out of bed with a huge stomach and sat down at the table. "Do you have any intention?" The food on the table immediately aroused her senses, and she felt empty in her stomach. Hunger made her dizzy. "How can I have any intention?" Knight said, picked up the chopsticks, and put the order into his mouth. "I brought you here, so you can rest assured that if I want to kill you, I'm afraid you have already started when you are in a coma." Cloud danced long for a while. Pour also is slightly ponder ask again, "But why do you want to bring me here? Where is here?" He touched his stomach and frowned again. "What's the matter with the child in my stomach? You asked so many questions. How do you want me to answer them?" The knight couldn't help laughing and sighing. The whole person sat in the dim shadow of the lamp, and his face was not fixed by the shadow of the lamp. This is an alien world that has nothing to do with any place. Knight said, "I bring you here, of course, for your own good." Cloud danced frowns tightly. "For my good? You are both good and evil. How can I know if you want to harm me?" In my heart, I didn't relax my vigilance at all. I enjoyed eating at night, so I picked up chopsticks and began to eat vegetables. And now, the child inside you is about to be born, and I'm here to save you and your child. Knight picked eyebrow to see Cloud dance. Mouth slightly warped. Smile is very evil. Yunwu thought it was incredible, but just sneered and said, "Why do you need to worry about me and my children?" Knight sneer, suddenly close to the clouds, two faces, only a finger of a distance. Because if not, your child will soon suck you up. Pale Cloud dance suddenly lost in thought. Suck me up? Cloud dance a little puzzled. How can my child suck me up? And I was feeding him. Wrong. Knight straight up, sighed, shook his head. He can not only absorb nutrients in your body, but also absorb your energy. My energy? Cloud dance heart suddenly sank. She gently stroked the stomach, as if this is the case, although he did not know exactly some news of the child in the stomach. However, she can vaguely feel that the child is sucking something to grow up, and now it is still growing slowly. He lowered his head slowly and danced in the clouds for a long time without any response. He just sat there quietly, as if thinking about whether this person's words were believable or not. There was no expression on his face. "So what you need now is to have a baby here," Nightlight said, and the eyes are blinking at the reaction of Cloud dance sitting on the bed. Yunwu looked up again, his eyes full of disbelief. "You mean I want to raise a baby here?" Night serious nodded. "Your child will absorb the source of your life. If you don't want to die, also don't want him to die, you must let him stop absorbing your strength. So only here can protect you and children are safe." Yunwu was silent for a long time and didn't speak. At last, she asked, "How are my family and friends?" "They're all safe. You can rest assured." Knight turned around, lowered his head to pour himself a glass of water. The candle around him cast a shadow on his face. Cannot see the expression. I don't know if I should believe the words of the night, but the child is in her body. Of course, she knows what energy the child really depends on to survive. Now, Yunwu can feel the loss of life energy in the body. Compared with the past, it is even weaker, and the child is growing up at a speed invisible to the naked eye. "You're saying that if I had a baby here, I would be safe with the baby." The voice of Cloud dance is gradually small, with indecision in the voice. "That's right," Knight said. "Do you know where the dragon is?" Cloud dance asked again. The knight is silent and shakes its head. Two people did not speak. Cloud dance, quietly holding the dishes on the table, slowly stuttering. But in the heart is thinking about the cause and effect of this matter, and in front of the people say, also not necessarily credible. After dinner, because of what the knight said, Yunwu thought for a long time, so he let Yunwu think. Yunwu sits on the bed with her knees crossed. She closes her eyes and adjusts her breath. While she is recuperating, she is thinking about the present situation. After sleeping for so long, her body seems to be unable to move. Looking inside her body, she finds that her body is in deficit. Obviously, her life energy is not as strong as before, and her physical condition is not as good as before. Continue to meditate and practice. I find that the sleepiness during this period has not improved. On the contrary, my physical condition has subsided a lot. She frowned. Cloud danced and pursed her lips and began to urge her fighting spirit to her stomach. She wanted to know what kind of existence this child, who had not been explored by others, was. She carefully urged the fight forward, slowly reached the abdomen around the baby. However, she found that the baby in her stomach still made her unable to detect any breath of life. Sure enough, it felt like the baby in her stomach was not alive at all. However, Cloud Dance can feel the energy absorption. Cloud Dance heart is very strange. The existence of this child is really strange, but now what is like is still a mystery. However, she urged her fighting spirit to swim in her body for 2 more times, but she still couldn't see anything. She had to give up, take it back, and continue to concentrate on cultivation. What is the origin of this child? Yunwoo frowned, opened her eyes, and looked out of the window. There was a dark sky outside the window. Although Yunwoo had not gone out yet, she felt very uncomfortable because of her depression. Thinking of what the knight said, this place is a natural place full of dark energy, and the dark energy is the most abundant. This child can only be born smoothly after absorbing the dark energy, and it can only be born safely in this extremely cold, dark place. But now she is dubious about Night. Although most of Night's remarks have been confirmed, in her intuition, it seems that Night has something to hide. The feeling of Night is really strange. It seems that evil is not evil, and it seems that right is not right. He often wears black robes and black hats. The oppressive black of his whole body makes people feel very uncomfortable. But about the child, I didn't cheat myself. Because of the special physique of himself and the dragon, the child would not have been born. It must be because of the swallowing power in the cloud house at that time that the child was born in the belly, and the child's breeding has been constantly absorbing their own life. But even if all of us didn't feel the lifeblood of this life, what we are carrying here is indeed the child bred by the dragon. This is a living life. At this time, this life is gently breathing in its own stomach with itself, and life is integrated into one. This makes Yunwoo's heart very soft. The slight fluctuation of the child is in her induction. Her mouth is slightly tilted, and the smile is full of love, as if a mother is caressing her lovely child. Suddenly, I felt like a mother. Close your eyes, search the contents of the tornado in your mind, and see some records inside. Yunwoo has gradually understood something. It seems that there is nothing wrong with what you said. This child is probably what the world calls the devil fetus. It needs the help of external forces to help the child absorb and grow up. I'm afraid that the power in his own body is not enough for the child's growth. If you blindly let the children absorb their own strength, I'm afraid they will die when the child is born. Yunwoo opens her eyes, and her eyes become clear and firm. She has made up her mind to go down to look for the idea of dragon's evil, and give birth to the child first. When she made up her mind, she was still sad. After all, the life and death of Long Qingxia were uncertain, and she was pregnant with the child in her stomach. In her heart, she has made the worst plan for Long Qingxia. She simply gives birth to herself and her child. If she really knows that Long Qingxia has died, then this child, raised by herself, will avenge Long Qingxia in the future. Thinking of this, she tightly pursed her lips, narrowed her eyes, gently hugged her stomach, and watched the sky go from dark to white. This inexplicable thing upset people. "Are you awake?" Night came in from the outside, still wearing a black robe, with a black hat, very mysterious. Think about it. What do you decide to do? Are you going to find Long Qingxia and kill the child together? Or are you going to give birth to the child? I've decided. I'm going to have a baby. Cloud Dance frowned, eyes very serious, looking at the night. I want to believe you very much, so I hope you don't cheat me. Otherwise, at that time, I will make you regret for what you are doing now. With a slight smile, the knight seemed to hear something funny. It seems that you have no one to believe except me. Knight raised the corner of his mouth, turned to go out of the door, stood at the door, looked back, and said, "Clean up. I'll wait for you outside the door." Yunwoo clenched her fists. Her eyes were very cold, but she bit her teeth and said nothing. She had no way to do it, and she didn't know others. She would not do anything to her own benefit. After a simple clean-up, Yunwoo looked down at his stomach and then walked out of the room. It seems that everything in the alien world is very desolate. When you go out of the courtyard and look outside, there are low houses, all gray and black. Few people walk around in the street. There are a few people who are also wearing black clothes and black gauze. They are very depressed. Cloud dance feel particularly uncomfortable, frowning with the night behind. They did not cross the depressing street, but went straight to the mountain behind the house. Qianshan a stroke, chiefing listed, towering straight into the sky of the peaks, still with gray color. People cannot see how high. The night leads the cloud to dance. Walk slowly to the foot of the mountain. There's a cave there. Come with me. The knight turns to glance at the clouds. See Cloud dance is still in different face, but closely behind. Mouth with a faint smile. Into the cave will be in front of the torch down lit. Turned to look at the Cloud dance behind, said, I bring you here. Raise the baby thing can rely on your own. Yunwu didn't answer, but he held his hand tightly. The more you go down, the darker and colder it is. The torch in the night only lights up a small area in front of you, which makes Yunwu feel very insecure and unconsciously alert. Suddenly, a cold wind came from the cave, making Yunwu tremble all over. However, the child in her stomach seemed to be suddenly excited and active in her stomach. Stand still, Knight said, and then he went forward and lit the torches in front of him one by one. Yunwu was surprised to find that in this place, he couldn't see the situation clearly in the dark, even a little bit about the outline in front of him, but the movement of the baby in his stomach was getting bigger and bigger. He was relieved, that is to say, the child really survived by absorbing the dark energy. We are about to reach the most central position. This position has always been the place with the most dark energy. Here is the most suitable place for you to raise your baby. Yunwu holds his stomach. He feels that the baby in his stomach is very active and the fetal movement is very obvious, which makes her mouth start up and show a loving smile. They went down and finally became colder and colder. Yunwu's mouth had already exhaled white air. This place didn't blend with the outside environment, which surprised Yunwu. Holding back the trembling of his whole body, the cloud danced into the darkness. In the darkness, there was a huge stone emitting colder temperature in the darkness. This let Cloud dance can't help but cringe for a while, walk forward slowly, touch that stone lightly with finger. Suddenly, a very cold air along the fingers instantly flow through the whole body. Her face a white, quickly back a step, but the abdomen of the fetus is suddenly excited. Feet kick Cloud belly. The cold air ran through Yunwu's body, which made Yunwu turn pale and drive it out with fighting spirit. However, he could not help frowning at the thought of practicing on this stone, absorbing the energy of the dark place, and waiting for the birth of the fetus. All of a sudden, Yunwu felt that the dark energy around him began to flow in his own direction, gradually absorbed by the baby. Cloud Dance Lung Lung looked down at his stomach. Gradually, I ground across a touch of surprise. She gently stroked his stomach, smile. Well, I'll have a baby here. You can go. Yunwu took a deep breath, bit his teeth, trembled, and sat on the stone. As soon as she got up, her whole body seemed to be surrounded by cold ice, which made her teeth fight. She desperately resisted the impulse to jump down, sat on the stone, and closed her eyes. I'll send someone to deliver dinner to you regularly. Take care of yourself. Knight said so. Turn away. Yunwu closed his eyes, urged the fighting spirit, quietly felt the dark and cold breath around him, and suddenly found that, driven by himself, the dark breath around him began to pour into his body in large quantities and continuously. And the baby in the body is like a hungry little beast. All the dark energy is continuously transported into the baby's body. Finally relieved, it seems that the child should be the Night Mouth said so. So, decided to calm down, quietly raise the baby. The breath of darkness was absorbed by the baby, and he became more and more active. Yunwu was very happy because she could feel the existence of the baby more and more now. This child, who used to be invisible to all doctors, was so active in her stomach now. It has been several days in the dark and extremely cold place. Yunwu shivers with cold, and her face is blue. For the sake of the child, she has been sitting on the stone with her eyes closed and silent. The dark energy pouring in her body makes her body emit cold. She feels that she's going to be frozen. Soon, because of the extreme cold, Yunwoo's body had a thin layer of frost, and then she forced the cold out of her body with fighting chi. However, such a great consumption let her suddenly cold sweat, and the cold sweat on the body and formed a layer of frost. Yunwoo girl, come to dinner. The maidservant's voice awakened Yunwoo from the practice. When she looked up, she came out of the darkness with a food box and put it in front of her. Cloud Dance vomited breath. To her smile, picked up chopsticks. Trouble girl. You're welcome. Yunwoo girl. I did it according to the master's request. The maid said with a respectful smile. Yunwoo picked up the dish and put it into the import, but he didn't have time to swallow it. But suddenly, there was a violent spasm like the feeling of a child kicking his stomach. Does it mean that the child doesn't like the taste of food? Thinking of this in her heart, she suddenly felt a surge in her stomach. She quickly covered her mouth, stood up, and rushed to one side. She vomited all the food that had not been taken in, until her face turned pale. The maid frowned and patted Yunwoo on the back to help her go smoothly. However, Yunwoo was dizzy at this time. She laughed wearily and nodded. Thank you very much. The maid looked at her sorrowfully and sighed. Miss Yunwoo, I really admire you. Cloud Dance Rai smile. Just, you take away all these food, I really can't eat. Maybe tomorrow I will eat. The maid had to nod, put all the food that had not moved on the ground into the food box, and left the dark place with it. Yunwoo sighed. She obviously felt tired and powerless. She vomited, slowly stood up, walked back to the boulder, sat down, closed her eyes, and continued to meditate. However, the next day, when a maid came in with the food box, Yunwoo could not bear the smell of food. She rushed to one side and vomited until the bile came out. Looking at Yunwoo's reaction, the maid was too scared to take out the things in the food box, so she had to stand aside quietly with the food box. Cloud Dance finally vomited a breath, slowly came back. She felt her legs were trembling, climbed the boulder, but Rai smile. Trouble you. Still keep sending things to me. With a sigh, the maid took the food away again. The baby grows up day by day. The baby's body grows rapidly in Yunwoo's belly. It's like a sponge. She can't eat anything. She hasn't eaten for several days in a row. Living close to a little water, Yunwoo feels that her body is too heavy to lift her legs. However, every day, her maidservant will be very dedicated to deliver food, and Yunwoo is also very cooperative, but she always spits up. Miss Cloud Dance, dinner is over. Another day, in the dark, the maidservant's voice interrupted Yunwoo's practice. At this time, Yunwoo just finished, opened her eyes. Her face was pale, very ugly. She swallowed saliva, now instinctively began to fear food, but she knew do not eat is certainly not good. In front of her, she put the food box on the ground and took out the food. A bowl of light vegetable porridge, a dish of light vegetables. Yunwoo plans to walk down from a stone. His huge stomach is very heavy, which makes Yunwoo falter. In addition, in the extremely cold dark place, the dark energy is very strong. On weekdays, Yunwoo is very powerful, and he doesn't find that the dark energy has any effect on his body. But now, so weak, dark energy into the body has been devastated not like. She vomited, trembled, and wrapped her clothes tightly. But unexpectedly, her feet just stood on the ground. Her legs suddenly softened, and she knelt on the ground with a plop. I couldn't help laughing bitterly in my heart. It turned out that I was so weak now. My maid quickly came forward to help Yunwoo up, but after a few moves like this, Yunwoo was panting and sweating. Seeing that Yunwoo was weak, the maid brought the food to Yunwoo and handed the chopsticks to Yunwoo. The food was light and suitable for her sensitive taste. However, when Yunwoo smelled the smell, she still instinctively retched. But this time, she didn't really vomit. Instead, she endured nausea and ate the porridge in front of her. After a long time, although disgusted, Yunwoo didn't spit out his red eyes. The maid in front of him looked at Yunwoo with complicated eyes and sighed. I really don't know why the girl is suffering from this kind of crime for such a child. Cloud Dance is still no words, just smile, and then continue to go to the boulder. But before I got to the boulder, I had already vomited out. As soon as I was soft, I almost fell down. The maid behind me quickly put down her food box and went to help her. The body became weak day by day. Finally, Yunwoo took the chopsticks. Fingers have no strength to pick up the chopsticks. Jingle, chopsticks rolled to the ground. The maid sighed, took the chopsticks back, wiped them clean, and continued to give them to Yunwoo. But Yunwoo said with a bitter smile, I can't eat anything now. Take it away." The voice was weak, as if to faint. Although the maid had never met Yunwoo, she could not help frowning. "Girl, if you go on like this, you may not be able to wait for the birth of a child." Yunwoo smiles weakly. Although it has reached the level of weakness, she is still very happy in her heart, because the effect of absorbing dark energy here is very significant. Yunwoo obviously feels that the fetus in her abdomen is absorbing the dark energy around her, growing up gradually, and her body seems to be stronger. However, Yunwoo's body is gradually weaker. In a shadow, not far away, the knight stands there quietly. The black robe hides him perfectly in the dark. He squints and looks at the cloud dancing, which is too weak to start, sitting under the stone. His deep eyes are dark. After a while, he turned and left. Seeing that Yunwoo really had no appetite, the maid sighed, put away all the food, turned around and left. Finally, she turned to Yunwoo and said, "I don't think you can go on like this. Girl, it's better to give up." Cloud Dance closed her eyes and shook her head weakly. "Since we have been holding on for so long, what else can't continue?" Time continues to move forward slowly. The feeling of Cloud Dance. Every day, there's a kind of feeling. Finally opened his eyes in the dark. Cloud Dance vomited a breath, tranced for a while, almost fell from the stone, quickly supported herself. She looked up around, everything around a little trance. She doesn't know how long she has been here or what kind of time is outside. She feels the growth of the fetus every day in a trance. This may be the happiest thing for her in this extremely painful time. Yunwoo's whole body is shaking slightly. Her hair is dry and confused. Her eyes are a little listless. Her eyes are deep. Her face is pale. Because she has been absorbed energy for a long time, she has lost a big circle. At this time, coupled with the appearance of fatigue, her beautiful face actually had a trace of vicissitudes of life withered. She looked up at the darkness in front of her. Only a torch was weak. She closed her eyes, panted weakly, and her lips were dry. Shivering, her hands could hardly hold anything. She felt extremely fragile, as if she would die in the next second. Although this child is absorbing the energy of the dark place, he still seems to be absorbing his own energy. Yunwoo had already felt it, but for the sake of her child, she felt that she couldn't stop. She trembled, propped up her body, and sat upright. Then she closed her eyes and continued to absorb the energy of the dark place. Night in the dark, eyes and hands cannot help but start a little bit more unexpected color. In such a bad situation, her body has obviously exceeded the load, but she still insists that even if her body has been destroyed by the dark energy, she constantly absorbs the dark energy to support her baby. She also knows that her energy is constantly absorbed by the fetus in her body. This child, just like the person sent by heaven to ask for Yunwoo's life, is constantly eating Yunwoo's will and body, making her weak. What kind of sacrifice can human women make for their children? Night heart sighs. Eyes are full of accidents and inexplicable undercurrent. Smile, disappear in the dark. Cloud Dance nearly collapse. For days, by the child's constant fetal movement, toss can't eat. Plus the child absorbed her energy. Dark energy devastated her body. She lay on her side on the cold black boulder and looked at the sky with her eyes unfocused, motionless, like a doll about to fall apart. Around her, countless black streams, almost visible to the naked eye, gathered from all directions, and then all poured into Yunwoo's stomach. Yunwoo blinked and breathed. All the darkness in front of her kept spinning. In the darkness, all kinds of colors appeared again. Suddenly, many people appeared in front of her. Xiaomu, Shui, countless people who have already left are smiling at Yunwu. Yunwu looks at everything in front of her, and her eyes are red. Long Qingxia, where are you, and how can I find you? The voice of Cloud Dance was extremely weak and trembling. Her voice was as thin as a mosquito's song. Even her breath was trembling. She closed her eyes and felt dizzy. People Cloud family. Since the Cloud Dance disappeared that day, the whole Cloud family and even the whole human world have fallen out. Then it was found that the mysterious knight disappeared with it. In his fury, Yin Qi immediately orders to search the whole human world for their figures. Even Yin Lingi goes out to look for them. But after so many days, there is no news. Yunqi simply ordered to send someone to the upper boundary to ask all his friends in the upper boundary to help him find out. Now it has been going on for some days. On this day, Yunqi finished reading the news from all over the world, but there was no news of Yunwu, even at night. In a rage, Yunqi threw out all the letters in his hand. I'm so angry, Yunqi said angrily. This night, I should have seen him clearly. How could I believe him so easily? I'm really confused to regard him as a savior. One side of Gaoyu frowned and said, Master, although I haven't seen this knight before, I don't think he's the kind of person who came here intentionally. It's not intentional? How did Xiao Wu disappear with him? Did Xiao Wu leave by herself? Yunqi immediately retorted, You don't know that Xiao Wu has been in a coma for many days, and there is no sign of waking up at all. That knight suddenly appears, and what he says is so strange. Who else can he be? Gaoyu frowned and knew that what Yunqi said was the most possible, but he always felt that something was wrong. If he really wanted Yunwu, according to the previous situation, he would not have to do any Yunwu at all. I think of it, Gaoyu said suddenly. Do you know the way to wake up that night? That's why we have to avoid all of us and take her away. Yin Qi's eyes were shocked. What did you say? The more Gaoyu thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. It's possible, it's really possible. That night didn't look malicious, and he told us so much about Mississippi. And the Nangon family also confirmed that what he said was true. Now he suddenly takes the young lady away. It must be because he knows how to make the young lady and the child live at the same time. I just can't figure out why he has to hide from so many of us since he is trying to help the young lady. Is there any other purpose for him? Yunqi also thinks that what Gaoyu said is reasonable, and then he thinks about it together. Xiao Wu's identity is special. It's almost no secret in the human world and the upper world. It's just that there are not many people who know Xiao Wu's power. Is it difficult for him to know that night because it's so mysterious? It shouldn't be. Yunqi is wringing his eyebrows. Now he has some belief that night has no malice to Yunwu. The power in Miss? Gaoyu is stunned. In fact, he didn't know these things. He only knew that Yunwu's identity was very important. But listen to Yunqi say so. It seems that the identity of the young lady also contains what power? Is it the power of the witches? Thinking of this, Gaoyu immediately stopped himself from thinking about it. After all, if these things are true, they must be the top secret of the family. He had better not contact them. No, Yunqi said suddenly. If that knight is aimed at the power of Xiao Wu, then his purpose must be not small. It's even possible that he is to use the little dance. Let the little dance use those forces to do something for him. And what we can do with that power. Yin Qi looks at Gaoyu with eyes wide open. His voice is getting smaller and smaller. He doesn't even continue to say the following words, but the meaning of the words is self-evident. If so, I'm afraid the purpose of the night is not small. Master, Gaoyu stood up from the stool in a moment of shock, his eyes full of anxiety. Give me orders. Increase search efforts. Be sure to get the young lady back in the shortest time. Yes. Nanganji and Chiyi's follow the map all the way to the east. After passing Huoshi town and the top of the volcano, they still fly all the way to the east. They are not talkative people, so they seldom stay in the market. Even if they rest, they're still in the wild woods, resting in the trees at will. They finally became the first to approach their destination. Take a break. Nangong, he said, the destination is not far ahead. There will be a big war at that time. If you don't have a good rest, I'm afraid you will encounter problems. Chi Yi's didn't retort. She nodded quietly and said, well, up to now, there is no more tree in the surrounding environment. Fortunately, both of them have adventure experience, so this time they went out to collect ice soul beads at the top of the desert. Originally thought it was safe, but just at the top of the volcano, there was no reaction between them. They felt that the power of the bead was smaller. I don't know where it is. There is no life here. Cheese frowned and said, it seems that the power of this ice soul bead is smaller, but we seem to have just come to the edge. If we go on like this, its effect will be smaller and smaller. Nangong nodded. This place is really strange. What we are looking for is the fire of the alien world, but I have never heard of the name. On the way here, I divined for a while, but nothing came out. Said here, Nangong Yi's voice paused for a moment, then said, I think we are looking for something may exceed our previous cognitive range. Beyond recognition? Cheese frowned. What does that mean? Nangong Yi raised his head, looked at the front, and said, the fire of the alien world. Just listening to the name, you can guess that it doesn't belong to the upper world, but the thing that can have such a great effect and kill the child can't be the human world. Chi's pupils suddenly enlarged. You mean? Nangong Yi looks at her and nods silently. Before that, they were confident and scheming. At this time, they just felt that they had no bottom in their heart, but they never thought to shrink back. The idea in their hearts is almost the same. If they can't take things back, they will move forward even if they fight for their lives. After the rest time, when night comes, the temperature around seems to be lower, but it is still hot. That kind of heat is not like the sudden heat in the desert, and it seems to come from all directions. Even if the sun has set, it still can't change much. Let's go. Nangong Yi stood up from the ground and said to Chi Yi's beside him, while Zisher is approaching, the heat will slow down a little. Maybe there's a better chance to get that thing. Chi Yi's naturally understood this. Otherwise, he would not be at ease to stay here for such a long time. At this time, hearing Nangong Yi's words, he immediately stood up and flew to the depth together. The fire of the alien world, as the name suggests, is a fire from the alien world. When the two finally reach the edge of the time, and then out will enter the space turbulence. When you move here, you must always be careful of the surrounding environment, especially when dealing with the fire of the alien world. Otherwise, once you enter the space, you will never come back. Look over there. Chi Yi saw a strange white flame near the turbulence of the space. Before the turbulence of the gray space, it was very difficult to identify because of the similar colors. Nangong Yi looked over and saw the legendary fire of the alien world. There is such a thing. I thought I was cheated. I can't believe it really exists. Nangong Yi said. In fact, he was still praying until the moment before, because he thought too much. The fire of the alien world was just an ordinary fire, which was precious at most. But when he saw it, Nangong Yi confirmed his previous guess. I'm afraid this fire doesn't belong to the upper world and the human world. How? Cheese looked at the fire and asked. It's so far away, but it's like the whole person is in the fire. No wonder you have to take the ice bead, otherwise it would have been roasted. Nangong Yi's eyes looked around for a circle, but didn't see anything, so he said, Knight said there is a guard beast near here. We have been here for so long, but we haven't seen the guard beast figure. It seems that we are calm. How could the guardian beast have such a high spiritual sense? Chi Knight, surprised to get out of the voice. Maybe, Nangong, he said, let's get closer. Maybe he will come out and pay attention to the surrounding conditions. Good. Chi Knight color ordered a nod. Then directly in South Palace, two people together toward that regiment the fire of the different world moved past. As the distance between them and the fire of the alien world gets closer and closer, Bingpa bead seems to be gone. Sweat comes out one by one from them, wetting their clothes. The hot air seems to steam them. They were silent and didn't say a word. As they approached, they looked at the situation around them, as if they might suddenly attack at any time. Suddenly, just when they finally got close to the fire, a strong wave suddenly appeared in the air. Be careful. Nangong Yi drinks it in a low voice, and then turns around quickly. It's almost out of the instinct of adventure for a long time. The sword in his hand is directly in front of his chest. A hot force rushed towards him fiercely. Boom! Hit on the sword. The huge force directly back him. But in the process of back, Nangong Yi still does not forget to protect Chi Yi's behind him. Human, the rough voice recalled that it was very abrupt in this lifeless world. Chi Knight in the hands of a long sword. Make alert appearance at any time to prevent the other side to rush. How are you? Chi Yi's asked seriously. Nothing. Nangong Yi rubbed his chest. This blow is not heavy, no harm. They were sure that there were no other living creatures around them. Then they stood side by side and watched the white flame in front of them. At this time, a pair of black eyes suddenly appeared in the flame, staring at them like this, looking very strange. You are Guardian Chi Yi's ass away. That pair of eyes ignored her question, then said, It's really human. How can you come here? Is that secret known? This word say, South Palace, E and Chi Knight color two people one after another long. Look at each other one eye, seeing each other's eyes puzzled. Secret? What's the secret? Isn't it? That pair of eyes seemed to be able to peep into people's hearts. Seeing that they were like this, they put away their killing intention. Well, I think so. It's just the human world and the upper world. No one can know that. Let's go. Although I don't know what your purpose is, it's unintentional. Leave here now, and don't disturb me again, that said. The color of those black eyes gradually became lighter, as if to escape into the white flame. Wait! Nangong Yi makes a sound at once. Well, black eyes suddenly opened. A powerful pressure released instantly, showing the dissatisfaction and warning to the two people. Nangong Yi snorted in an instant, and the corner of his mouth overflowed with blood. Chi Knight visioned a cold, snake sword grip in hand, directly toward the white flame attack. Don't think too much of yourself. Black eyes seemed to become more profound, followed by a white flame light fluttering toward her. Chi Knight body twist, unexpectedly dodged that to attack. The snake sword on the hand directly sent out. The black eyes didn't seem to expect that she had such strength, so they shot again. It was a white flame, but the speed was much faster than before. Master, please show mercy, Nangong Yi said in an instant. We are from the human world. We have no malice. Chi Knight color body Emil. This pauses under also can't hide to pass, helplessly looking at that to record to attack toward own chest, but, however, when the attack was close to the front of the body, it suddenly stopped at a distance of only 1 millimeter from the chest, and then dissipated directly. Come back. Nangong Yisheng says that Chi Yi's snake sword is horizontal in his hand. He retreats to Nangong Yi's side while guarding against the black eyes. Master, we didn't mean any harm. We just came here to save our friends. Nangong Yi stood up and said to the black eyes, Friends? Yes. Nangong Yi said, She is pregnant in bed now, but her husband doesn't know where she was taken by anyone, and she is always sleeping because of her baby in her stomach. We have got a way to say that only by using the fire of the alien world to kill her baby in her stomach can she wake up. Otherwise, she will always sleep deeply and know that all the energy in her body is absorbed. After Nangong Yi said this, his black eyes seemed to hear something terrible. Then he came out of the fire. A black soul body, which looks like an old man, comes to Nangongji's body as soon as it appears. He pulls his collar, and Chi Yi's snake sword will separate them. But just start, that old man, then directly impatient of a wave hand, a palm lifter to fly. Chi Knight heavily fell on the ground, and the old man did not look at her, anxiously asked Nangong, Your friend is a demon? Nangong Yi is stunned. What? I said your friend is a demon? The old man frowned and roared, then murmured as if he thought of something. Impossible. If she is a demon, how could she be sucked up by the baby in her stomach? It's impossible. But if it's not the demons, how can we use the fire of the alien world to save her? The old man's brow just twisted, and at last he was puzzled, but he didn't let go of his hand pulling Nangong Yi's collar. Is she pregnant with a demon child? Think of here, the old pupil suddenly tightening. Children of the demons. No wonder you have to use the fire of the alien world to kill them. Is it hard for you to make all your efforts in vain? Why does this happen? Nangong, he heard some words from the old man's words, and he was already extremely shocked. Old man, Chi stood up, clenched the snake sword in his hand, pointed to the old man, and said, "You let him go." The old man turned to look at Chi Yi's and said coldly, "You are normal human beings, but I didn't expect to recognize such a friend." "What are you talking about?" Chi Yi's eyes are icy cold. "If you say that again, I'll cut off your tongue." "Cut it off," the old man said with a sneer. "If I don't kill you, you should be grateful." Later, he didn't care about Chi Yi's. Instead, he frowned and looked at Nangong Yi. "Your constitution is quite bright. How can you recognize such a friend? Is it hard to be cheated?" Nangong Yi is not happy. In their hearts, friends are far more important than themselves. They may not be angry when they are insulted, but once someone insults their friends, they are enemies. Don't be upset. I'll take care of this matter," the old man said, and then he threw Nanganji aside and looked at the flame. And it seemed that he was thinking about something. As soon as he lifted his hand, a red rabbit appeared in front of him. It was also a soul body, but the old man didn't see the call array flashing when he started. Otherwise, Nangong Yi would think that the old man was a summoner. "You watch here. I'm going to leave." The rabbit seemed to be able to understand people's words in general, and then directly jumped into the group of white flames, which was obviously extremely hot and could not cause any harm to him. "Let's go," the old man said. "Take me to meet your so-called friend." Nangong Yi, two people look at each other. Take him? It doesn't look like he has any good intentions, and their purpose of coming here has not been achieved. How can they just leave? "Well, what? You don't want to?" "To tell you the truth, I'm afraid the child in your friend's stomach should not come to this world and take me to have a look. If I guess correctly, I will help you kill the child. Maybe I can mercifully save your friend. If you don't want to, I will leave you here with me. At that time, I'll see that you took the fire of the alien world, where your friend will be sucked first." This word's a Chinite color. Two people simply bite teeth, turn round, and then take the old man toward the direction when coming. The town of Flint is full of people. Nangong Yi and Chi Yi's walk side by side, but the old man doesn't know what method he used to disappear. But the two of them could clearly feel that the old man was behind them. It seemed that they were being watched, which was very uncomfortable. "Well, have you heard? There's something wrong with Yunwu who killed the Beast Gate before." In the discussion of the street, suddenly came the word cloud dance. "Of course I heard. It said that something happened the day before I got married. Alas, it's really evil. Such a good man should have met such a thing. He is really envious of the talent." "I'm not talking about that. It's said that now she's in trouble again," said the man who took the lead. Nangong Yi and Chi Yi's steps, regardless of the eyes behind them, go directly to the people who are talking and act as onlookers. What happened again? What's the matter? Isn't she in a coma? How could anything happen? Isn't Yunwu always in a coma because of what happened before the wedding?" Later, a mysterious man came to Yun's home and said how to save her. But it seemed that he needed some rare things. You think it's hard to save Yunwu. So many friends of Yun's family went out to look for things. As a result, most of the experts of Yun's family left. It said that they went to find medicine. But who knows, just 2 days later, the mysterious man turned away from Yunwu directly. Whoosh dash whoosh. A snake sword flew out in a flash. It could wipe the face of the man who was talking, and it flew directly into the wall. Chi Yi's figure moved. When he reappeared, he went directly to the man's side. He grabbed his collar and said coldly, "What did you say just now? Repeat what you just said." The man trembled all over. He didn't expect that someone would dare to fight in the street. What's more, the man in front of him seemed so powerful that he didn't dare move. Say Chi Yi's cheers coldly again. The man swallowed hard, and then trembled and said, "I said, the cloud danced, now something happened again." Nangongi stands behind and clenches his fists. He knows that Chi Yi's can't do it well, but even he wants to rush up directly. How can he stop it? Yunwu, Yunwu, Yunwu was taken away? Now, both the human world and the upper world have been invited by the Cloud family to help find Yunwu and the mysterious person dressed in black. No matter what method is used, if you can find them, you'll get a large reward. A lot of people are eager to try, and even in order to get a reward, to see people wearing black clothes sent to the past. Now, people dare not even wear black clothes for fear of being taken as that person, but up to now, they still have no whereabouts. The man carefully said that he didn't know how he provoked the person in front of him, but he was treated like this. Just when he was worried about what the person would do next, Chi-Yi's released his hand directly. The next moment, he and another man directly disappeared in front of him. "Hi, Master." On one side, someone said in shock, "Well, why did those two look so familiar just now?" A man who once talked about Cloud Dance said, "Ah, I got it. Aren't they friends of Yunwu?" "What?" Chi-Yi's and Nangong Yi are silent all the way, flying towards the transmission array leading to the human world. "You two stop." The old man's voice sounded behind him, but they didn't stop at all. Now they're full of the news they heard. As for the rest, it doesn't matter, even if they annoy the old man behind them. Disobedient? The old man seemed to be a little annoyed. With a wave of his hand, two powerful energies rushed directly towards the two people in front of him. Chi-Yi's and Chi-Yi's quickly dodged to both sides, but I don't know if the old man was really angry. This attack was so fast that they didn't escape. Boom dash! Two figures directly hit the tree in front, and then fell on the ground. The old man showed his figure and fell in front of them. He asked in a cold voice, "I ask you, the Cloud Dance that the man said is your friend?" Along the way, the old man has heard almost all of them, but the attitude of these two people really makes him feel aggrieved. He is a master of his own. If his name is reported, the whole world will be a sensation for him. But these two young people don't even pay attention to him. "Ha!" Nangong Yi wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth, lowered his head, and sneered. A touch of madness flashed in his calm eyes. "Yes, it's her. Aren't you going to have a look? Now that she's gone, you're still standing in our way. If you don't hurry back, I'm afraid something unexpected will happen again." Up to now, Nangong Yi is not willing to endure anymore. What he wants in his heart is to go back immediately. The old man's eyes are wide open, and another energy is directly fighting toward Nangong. "Don't think I dare not kill you. How dare you speak to me in such a tone?" Nangong Yi is attacked again. These two attacks have no mercy at all. Now, he doesn't even have the strength to get up. But even so, he remains silent. Chi-Yi's on one side is very anxious. She wants to go back while worrying about Nangong Yi's injury. However, she can't move after the previous blow and is numb all over. Facing the old man in front of them, they didn't have the strength to fight back. But even so, they were still not afraid. If the old people want to kill them, I'm afraid they will be here today. The old man was silent and didn't know what he was thinking. After a long time, he looked up at the distance and murmured, "Is it going to change?" Words are too low. Nangong Yi two people didn't hear what he said. Then the old man looked down at them and said coldly, "You are the best. When you get to the human world, I'm afraid the girl won't be able to find it again. The weak is the trouble." After that, the old man went straight forward and grabbed one person in one hand. Then, with a flash of light, the figure of three people disappeared. People, Cloud family. The old man with the collar directly fell on the door of the Cloud family. As soon as the three figures appeared, the guards of the Cloud family immediately surrounded him. When they saw that Nangong and Nangong were in his hands, they were like enemies. There are too many things that have happened to the Cloud family recently, so they have to strengthen their defense. The old man's eyes swept around the bodyguards, made a scornful cold hum, and then directly threw them on the ground. Looking at a place, the old man could not help frowning. This force. Nangong Yi and Chi-Yi's have been shocked for a long time, but they didn't expect that the old man was so fierce and crossed the space to the human world with a very fast speed. And then they didn't have to show us the way. They came here directly. Such a long way. His speed is almost as fast as the upload and send array. What kind of power is this? Is it a magic weapon? Then he saw that the old man was always staring in one direction. Cheese was just curious, but Nangong, he suddenly said, "This is where the mysterious power appeared that day." Then he took the man away. Xiao rushed up, but the strength of Wuling Realm was useless at all. Finally, he was attacked by the enemy and was unconscious. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly. Wuling Realm is not weak. It's just that I want to fight against it with this realm, but I still can't do it. As soon as the old man's words were finished, they looked at each other. It seems that the old man really knows something. "Who dared to make trouble in front of my cloud house?" A full voice came. And then he saw Yunshi rushing out with a team whose strength was above the Wuzong realm. "General Yunda, don't be impulsive, Nangong." He makes a sound and stops those people from rushing. "Nangonji." Yunshi looks at the visitor in surprise and just wants to ask him how he came back. But all of a sudden, a very powerful breath appeared in an instant. With that breath coming is a burst of hearty laughter. "Ha ha ha ha," I said. "My brother, if you don't guard your fire well, how can you come here? It's faster than me." The voice is extremely bold and unconstrained. Just a word will let people feel that the voice of the master is not vulgar. Then, 3 figures fell down. Shangwan, Mu Xiaoming Nangong, Yi, and Mu Xiaoming see that the 2 of them are Shangwan and Mu Xiaoming. Then they immediately guess the identity of the old man who is coming. They're afraid that they're the same as the old man on their side. I just don't know why they can all come here. Is this little dance really tricky? "You're here, too." The old man who followed Nangong, he looked at the newcomer and said, "If this happens, I will come to see it. Don't say it's me. I'm afraid that 2 people from the south and the north will come, too. We haven't seen each other for many years. I didn't expect that we got together again because of this." The conversation between the 2 old people makes people understand a little. It seems that there are 4 of them, distributed in the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south. This time there are 2 of them. I'm afraid the rest of them will come here again. Mu Xiaoming runs to Yunshi and tells him the origin of the old man. Yunshi's eyes change from shock to silence. "General Yun, these 2 people are very powerful. Let them live in Yunfu. Maybe they can know where Long Qingxia has gone, or how to find Xiaowu," Mu Xiaoming suggested. Yunshi raises his hand and touches his chin. He regrets what happened the night before. Now 2 strangers make Yunshi think of the night again. But what Mu Xiaoming said is reasonable. After a while, Yunshi finally made a decision. "Okay, let's invite them to stay." After that, he immediately sent someone to arrange the room and walked towards the 2 old men. Now it's on a mountain in Fairyland. On the smoky mountain range, the clouds are dancing and the immortal spirit is overflowing. At the end of the mountain range, there stands a very lofty mansion. The mansion is so big that it takes up half of the mountain, and the top of the mountain is immersed in a white fog, which makes the whole mansion more majestic and majestic. The whole mountain seems to be their place. Countless people in white robes are very comfortable walking in the mountains. The vast white cloud from the top of the mountain, half of the mountain will be shrouded, the trees and houses will be looming out, feeling as if floating in the air. Pavilions, carved beams, and painted buildings make the whole residence immersed in a beautiful landscape like a dream. The waterfall flying down from the hillside is a piece of cool water vapor. In the river below the waterfall, some people are playing by the river, and some people are drawing water. It is a paradise. In the middle of the mansion, there are also simple and elegant rooms, small bridges, flowing water, and winding rivers flowing on a road, just like a small town. Countless houses are uneven, but they are very elegant, which makes people have a kind of poetic, gentle beauty. By the mountain and by the water, white fog poured down from the top of the mountain, but it just came into the yard. In a quiet and uninhabited room, simple beds and furnishings, light white curtains, simple teacups, tables and chairs, sandalwood is burning in the room, sending out fragrance, a silent. Long Qingxia is sleeping quietly. His eyes are closed tightly. His eyelashes are drawing a shadow on his face. He looks very pale, but it doesn't seem to matter. Yes, he is Dragon Xingxie, the Dragon Xingxie who was suddenly engulfed and disappeared by the black light column, but now suddenly appeared here. And he came here as not 1 or 2 days, but how long? Long Xingxie said he has been in a mess. Long Xingxie's complexion was much better than when he was engulfed by the black light column at that time. It was obvious that the injury had been alleviated, but he didn't open his eyes all the time. He was dressed in clean clothes, and his clean quilt was also fragrant. Strands of black hair were scattered on his head, and several wounds and the cyanosis on his face made him look very charming and beautiful. The faint black fog around him made him look strange, and he was becoming thinner and thinner. His face was haggard and pale, and his whole body was thinner. When he wakes up again, Long Xingxie breathes in his heart. He always falls in his sleep without his control. When he wakes up again, he just wakes up. But every time he tries to open his eyes, he can't open them. It seems that there's some force pulling him. He is conscious, but he can't control his body. This feeling of powerlessness made him very distressed and angry. If someone wanted to kill him at this time, he could not resist. In the whole building, there's always an invisible pressure, which makes Dragon Xingxie feel suffocated. The invisible pressure comes from all the people around him. He has a concept of this place in his mind. The lowest level here is very powerful, and the realm is excellent. But he had nothing to do. Every day, he could feel that someone came in to take care of him, someone put water into his mouth, and he could also know that every day someone would walk through the window, and some people would still stand in the window and talk about it. He didn't know why, but he couldn't wake up. And such a situation has been for a long time. Every time when they restore consciousness, can only feel a vast expanse of nothingness. However, when he wanted to open his eyes and look at the present situation, he found that it was very difficult to open his eyes and move his body. It was as if he was trapped in consciousness and separated from his body. During this period, there are a group of people who often appear in the room where he lives. They're scattered around the bed and whispering. They don't know what they're talking about. But Long Xingxie can always feel an extremely powerful pressure and linger on them. Long Xingxie knew that the realm of these people must be higher than himself. Because he couldn't feel the state and ability of these people, he was even more surprised. Who are these people? Why did you catch yourself here? What kind of place is this? Just catching one person. Why do you have to work so hard to hurt so many people? But these questions have not been answered since he came to this place. Because he can't speak at all. He breathed in his heart. The situation has been almost clear for such a long time. It seems that these people do not pose a threat to his life. It seems that they're trying to do something to themselves. Every day, he was observing and discussing. So every day, the feeling in his body was almost the same. First, there was an abnormal energy fluctuation, and then he lost consciousness and went into nothingness. He was not nervous. So he had to give up struggling and trying to open his eyes and quietly let himself lie in a comfortable and soft bed. I don't know how long I've been here, but Long Xingxie can feel the slow growth of black energy in his body every day. He is very helpless about his situation and doesn't know what makes his body change so much. I don't know what's the situation of Yunwu now. What's the situation of other people? Is Yunfu a mess now? What's going on in the human world? This time, the occurrence of things caught people off guard. It took a month for Long Xingxie to figure out what it was. Since that day, he was engulfed by the black light column. The last scene he saw in a light column was that everyone was knocked down by the light column and spat blood. And Cloud dance. Let him heartache more. She is full of scars, vomit blood, already crumbling. However, she rushed to the black light column again and again, blaming herself for not protecting the little guy and making her afraid for herself. However, until now, she didn't know where she was and how long she left. I've been awake in a coma. I've been in a coma. I've been tossing and turning, but I can't open my eyes all the time. I want to see what kind of place it is and what kind of people are around me. I suddenly feel my weakness and insignificance for a moment. but he can obviously feel that the energy here is very abundant. If he practices here, he may break through soon. So what he expects now is that he can open his eyes and move as soon as possible. Then he can adjust his breath and heal as soon as possible, and then go to find Yunwu. However, if it is not because his body has no way to absorb energy, then now he will get up and sit with his knees crossed, dominating all the energy here for himself. So when he was sober, he began to look inside his body and swam away the channels in his body. Before, the channels were damaged because of the phagocytosis of the black light column, but now he is almost recovered. But Dragon Qingxia also found that the dark energy in his body seems to be more and more strong. Compared with yesterday, the strength in his body has increased significantly, and the growth is also very strange. At this time, he was very curious about what the hell this place was, and how could it make such a strange change. This place must not be simple. Suddenly, a sound of footsteps came in from the outside. It's easy to hear that there are about 5 or 6 people in the voice, which makes Long Qingxia nervous, but he can't help thinking that the group of people are coming again. It has been several times in such a long time. When this group of people came to him, Long Qingxia could vaguely hear some information about the human world, which made Long Qingxia more anxious. They must know something, but they seemed to speak very carefully, for fear that something might be known to Long Qingxia. So Long Qingxia could not hear anything clearly. What he wants to do now is to open his eyes and ask, "What's the situation with Yunwu and Shangwan? Who are you? Why are you arresting me?" However, he could not open his eyes or open his mouth to ask. Only a few people came in from the gate. They were all in white robes. They were young, but they looked very serious. One by one, they went to the bedside of Long Qingxia. Some people felt the pulse of Long Qingxia. Some people looked at Long Qingxia's eyes. Looking at Long Qingxia, they frowned and looked down at Long Qingxia, as if they were always thinking about something, and then several people turned their heads to discuss something. Long Qingxia is full of vigilance. Although he can't act now, he vaguely feels that they have surrounded him. And what are they talking about? This makes Long Qingxia unable to hear clearly at all. So Long Qingxia focuses on what these people are saying, but after all, it's still intermittent words, which makes Long Qingxia a little depressed. Suddenly, not far away from the dragon, there was a man and another man whispering something in a low voice. Among them, Long Qingxia clearly heard some words about cloud dance and human world, which made him very curious. Intermittent dialogue, you say a word, I say a word, came from a surrounding population, originally nothing, but the name of cloud dance suddenly appeared from several people's mouth, but let Dragon Qingxia heart shocked. Suddenly heart beat faster. The energy in the body suddenly fluctuated. The people who had been standing beside Long Qingxia and talking about it carefully, when they felt the weak energy fluctuation, were suddenly shocked. Is this the energy wave coming from him? It seems that's the only possibility, but it's impossible. One after another, several people gathered around and looked at the dragon in surprise, frowning. What's the matter with this man? He is clearly undergoing evolution. How can there be energy fluctuations? Isn't he in a coma now? Can he hear us now? Is this person still conscious? A person looking at the people around, very worried. This situation is really the first time to see. What are we going to do now? Someone asked. What can we do? Let's solve this problem first. Let him fall asleep and lose consciousness, and then go to the elder for help. One said. Then everyone nodded. Then everyone went forward, surrounded the dragon in the center, and closed their eyes. The secret way in Long Qingxia's heart is not good. He just wants to pour out a fighting spirit from his body to stop these people. But he only feels that a few forces suddenly rush into his body from all directions, making him even more motionless. He was in a hurry to stop, but suddenly he heard someone say, "This man is still fighting my God. He is not a man." Then more violent energy suddenly poured into his body, and then his mind suddenly went blank. Long Qingxia felt that his breathing was a little difficult. He gradually felt that his consciousness pulled away from his body, and finally he didn't know anything. "Come on, let's go and tell the elder." How strange this man is. Some people said that they all took credit and looked very anxious. Then, several people went to the door. Some people also turned to confirm the dragon's evil situation. This really turned to leave the room, footsteps in a hurry. This kind of situation is really hard to see. This person's willpower is too strong. I don't know why the Presbyterian Council arranged for us to train this man. There was a lot of discussion, but we didn't see that the dragon on the bed suddenly frowned. Several people rushed out of the house and ran along the path in front of them. In front of Ruada's cloister, I ran for a long time, but I didn't run to the end. After a long time, in the smoke, several people came to the gate of the largest mansion in the building. Among the lush trees in the deep of the mansion, the verdant green reflects the huge, skyrocketing buildings, which are like fairyland. After taking a deep breath, they carefully arranged their clothes and hair crowns. Then they quickened their pace and walked in, looking very respectful. As soon as he got to the front of the stairs, he was stopped by the man at the door. The man looked down at the white robes that several people were wearing, and then raised his head to restore his indifference. "What's the matter with you?" The gatekeepers were two very childish children. They were dressed in white and looked straight in front of them. They didn't have any emotional fluctuation and were very indifferent. But these people didn't dare to neglect them at all. They quickly bowed down and said, "Please tell the elder that we have something to ask. It's about the dragon's evil spirit." "Yes, please wait here for a moment." A man turned and walked into the hall. There was a long ladder in front of the hall. It seems that the steps can't reach the end at a glance, but they go straight to the entrance of the hall. Although the doorman seems to walk slowly, but in a twinkling of an eye, it has been far away. In a twinkling of an eye, it has entered the main entrance of the hall. These people were not surprised at all. They lowered their heads, hugged their hands, and stood quietly waiting. The other doorman stood there motionless and expressionless. After a long time, the child finally came back. The white figure slowly came down the stairs and came to the door. Without looking at a few people, he turned over and let out the road behind him. A few people expressed their thanks in a hurry and then run in a hurry. The steps are long and upward, and the skill of a few people is very good. They will have reached the gate of the hall without any effort. At the gate of the main hall, several people and the guards of the gate explained the situation and were finally invited in. The main hall is very open. Countless white-robed people are standing around and talking in a low voice. The old man, sitting in the middle, is closing his eyes and motionless. "Elder." A few people have not come to the door of the hall. They have been anxious to shout up, immediately attracted everyone to turn their heads to wait and see. "Elder, we have come to you for advice." One of them came forward and knelt on the ground. "Elder." In the process of evolution, the dragon can still have consciousness and fight against it. Although his resistance can't become anything, it really surprised us at the same time, all the people in the hall exclaimed. It's really hard to see such a situation. Yes, if it's really according to what they say, then this person is terrible. I really want to see what kind of person can be such a strong existence. On the stairs, the old man finally gradually opened his eyes, nodded at several people, and let them enter the hall. Several people bowed to salute in a hurry. Then they walked into the hall with their heads down. On the steps, they saw an old man sitting there with white hair, white beard, and white robe. He quietly closed his eyes, did not look at these people, but suddenly opened his mouth, the voices light, slow. "In the end, what's the matter? You tell me carefully, don't panic. Elder, we found that even if we wash the dragon's evil body, he is still conscious. He can also produce energy fluctuations. We are afraid. Don't be afraid." The elder finally opened his eyes and frowned deeply. But this man's will seems to be very strong. He got up from his seat and walked slowly down the stairs with his hands on his back and his clothes and hair calm. What a curious person. After a long time, the elder sighed, shook his sleeve, and said, "Take me to see him." With these words, those people didn't dare to neglect, so they quickly made way for the elder to go first. People on both sides of the road bowed and watched the elder walk out of the hall. A few people take the elder to walk all the way. A few people accompany the elder to the room of Long Qingxia. Dragon Qingxia is still lying there quietly, breathing steadily. The elder stepped forward and looked at it carefully. Then he frowned. You say, is he still conscious? Can you still hear us? Yes, elder. He can still hear us now. Even though we have increased our training, his consciousness seems to be particularly strong. One of them said to the elder, worried, how is this man now? The elder went forward and carefully examined the sleeping dragon Qingxia. Tell the elder that he has fallen into a deep sleep because we have strengthened our training, but I think he will wake up all the time. Next to a white-robed man, respectfully said. The elder walked forward and looked down at the dragon. Finally, he nodded and got up straight, lost in thought. Elder, just because of his dark constitution and the bright constitution of the cloud dance of the sorcerer clan, we're thinking about whether we need to eliminate the memory of dragon's evil spirit in the process of evolution, so as to help him break away from the world, please the cloud dance, and really integrate into the fairyland. One of them said that all the people in the temple were silent. But all of a sudden, a strange wave came out of the dragon on the bed. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked and turned to see it. Dragon Qingxia frowned slightly and looked very unhappy. Although he was sleeping, there was a faint murderous air all over his body, which made everyone's mouth open. Obviously, he may have heard us talk about the cloud dance, and he said that he had to lose his memory, said a man in white. The elder frowned and nodded. He bowed his head and pondered for a moment. Then he said, continue to increase the strength of training and make him completely sleepy. Yes, elder. Those people nodded and said yes one after another, then stood beside the dragon and closed their eyes. Not long after, a few people's hands at the same time sent out a light ray. Pure fighting spirit instantly poured into the dragon's body. Then, the dragon will never move again. Finally, the wave of wandering in the dragon's evil body gradually disappeared. This made everyone around breathe out. Even the elder's brows were stretched out. On the other side, at this time in the dark, the huge black stone still exudes the piercing cold, lying on the boulder, chest up and down, but no other movement. It's been a long time since the baby was born. Originally, she was pregnant in October, but Yunwu felt that the time might have passed because now the baby's body is too big. Yunwu is lying on the boulder, pale, haggard, with deep eye socket. If he is not still breathing, people will feel whether he is dead or not. She took a deep breath and felt that her body was close to death. Even her eyes were sour. She didn't eat for a long time. She felt that everything in front of her was floating, and sometimes the sky was still spinning. For such a long time, Yunwu, because of this child's business, has been suffering from food and tea, and her eyes are dull. However, the child in her stomach is still absorbing the dark energy and is slowly growing bigger. Her stomach is getting bigger and bigger. Her huge stomach almost broke her clothes. All the blood vessels are winding on her belly, and her belly is almost transparent, as if it could be seen. I saw the baby in my stomach. Not only that, the child kicks in her stomach all day. Yunwu was breathing and moving hard, and she felt as if her consciousness was about to pull away. These days, she has nothing to eat, only drink a little water every day, close to the previous better physical fitness, can be dying to survive. Such a large stomach clearly has exceeded the level of ordinary pregnant women to give birth. However, Yunwu still didn't feel like giving birth. She couldn't help laughing bitterly. It was clear that she had eaten the evil fruit. But now that she had reached this level, she had to say that the child was born anyway. She moved hard for a while, already cold sweat, pale face, more and more difficult. It is likely that next his stomach will be burst by the child. Yunwu feels that the child in her stomach is gradually absorbing her own energy, which is obviously exhausted. She wants to call the contract beast, but she finds that the contract beast doesn't know when to be cut off and can't be contacted in any case. At this time, she found that she had put herself in a dilemma. but the child in the belly, but a little bit of absorption of energy and grow up. Yunwoo is lying on the stone. At this time, she can't feel the cold, and her clothes are a little shabby. She just lies on the stone quietly. Her eyes are confused. She opens her mouth and shows a satisfied smile. Anyway, the baby in her stomach is still growing up, which is enough. When the maid went into the dark place again, her steps were already shrinking because she couldn't bear to see the cloud dancing. It was like a skeleton. Her eyes were blank. Her eyes were deep. Her lips were pale. It was obvious that she was about to die. Her whole body was skinny. But even so, she didn't seem to want to give up the child. She felt like she was going to die. After taking care of Yunwoo for such a long time, she can't help but feel distressed when she sees everything in the woman's eyes. "Eat, girl." The maid cried carefully. She was afraid that a little loud voice would disturb Yunwoo, and then frightened her. She put the food box on the ground. Yunwoo didn't speak. She just lay on the stone, shook her head, and closed her eyes. She couldn't eat for so many days. Yunwoo didn't believe that she could eat now. The maid sighed, took out the water from the food box, went to Yunwoo's side, helped her drink, and then took away the food. Day after day, I don't know how long it has been, Yunwoo has been in this state. It can't eat anything, and the water is just a few mouthfuls. Night has been quietly around the clouds. Careful observation. This woman's tenacity and willpower is simply incomparable to ordinary people. If you change into ordinary people, I'm afraid there's no way to bear such pain. Such a woman, give people the feeling, is really terrible. The corners of the mouth with a faint smile, tut-tut praised twice, and then disappeared. But Yunwoo has been concentrating on raising the baby. She didn't find that night. She was so weak that she couldn't move. She raised her hand slightly. When she saw her hand as dry as grass, she gave a wry smile and touched her stomach. Her stomach is hard, and there's a growing trend. She frowns tightly, but she always has a very bad feeling in her heart. The child in his stomach seems to feel the touch of Yunwoo and suddenly moves. However, the fat body moves in Yunwoo's body, which makes Yunwoo pale and suffocated by the fat baby. She bit her lips and did not let herself make any sound. She just let the fat baby in her body move in her body as if she were very happy. The fetal activity is more and more frequent, and his huge body moves in Yunwoo's stomach, which makes Yunwoo's daily suffering worse and weaker, and the baby seems to be unwilling to let Yunwoo go, and still sucking the life energy in her body crazily, is still in the dark place. But Yunwoo's body has become incomparable fragile. She closed her eyes, seems to have given up resistance, let the baby in the body wantonly eating. During this period, she has been trying to explore her body with fighting spirit, but she can't find any feeling of the baby, nor can she explore any lifeblood. He breathed and had to give up. "Girl." The maid came to the land of darkness again. After such a long time, there's only this maidservant who feels dependent on Yunwoo. Every day, she will conscientiously bring a lot of food and take good care of Yunwoo, so that Yunwoo will not starve to death. "Here you are." Cloud Dance has collapsed. The voice is even smaller than the voice of mosquitoes. She laughed, a very sad smile. "Try again today. Can I have some dinner?" The maidservant put the food in front of Yunwoo, took the bowl, and sent it to Yunwoo's mouth. "You try, although it's a little uncomfortable, but if you really eat it, it's good for the children." Yunwoo sighed. His face had turned pale and gray. The maid put the spoon close to her mouth. For the first time in so many days, Yunwoo opened her mouth, ate the rice in her mouth, and swallowed it. Although she was still miserable, she finally felt less disgusting. She swallowed hard. Her maid was very surprised. She quickly came forward and handed her the water to drink. As she took a mouthful of rice and fed it to her mouth. Cloud Dance can't help but smile bitterly. The eyes looking at the maid are full of gratitude. The voice is too small to hear clearly. Said 2 words. The maid was confused, so she stepped forward and listened carefully. "Anyway, thank you for taking care of me. Otherwise, I might have died long ago," Cloud Dance said with a bitter smile. But the maid shook her head and said with a smile, I really think that a mother can be so kind for the sake of her children. She can make herself like this. But Cloud dance in the heart, but very helpless wry smile voice. This maidservant certainly don't know what happened to me. Knight certainly didn't tell her. Had a sigh, shake head, and don't speak. Why don't you get up and have try? If you eat it, isn't it a happy thing for everyone? Yunwoo thought it was the same, so she opened her mouth and took out the food from her food box. It was very light, only porridge and vegetables. Finally, after so many days of cloud dance, I had my first meal. The maid almost cried with joy and felt happy for Yunwoo. The tumbling in her stomach was not so serious, but after a long time of not eating, she suddenly had more food in her stomach, which was very painful. Her face was cold and sweaty, and she couldn't help curling up. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.